What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Dynasty. We're now like 29 episodes in or something. I think that's right, episode 29. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys who have been here from the jump, supporting the show, giving us your time, listening to our good takes, our bad takes, and hopefully entertaining you along the way. So thank you guys all for being here. If this is your first time, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We do this every single week. We got content all the time coming out, even short form content, all that stuff. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button if you're down here and you're watching the replay. That really does help our channel. Show some support. It's the best free way to show our channel some support, and it helps us grow. So with all of that being said, guys, we are here tonight to recap week 5 of the NFL season. A lot of stuff happened and a lot of stuff to talk about. And per usual, we'll go through each of these games, kind of give our takes on, who performed, who didn't perform, what the direction of that team's looking like, dynasty assets, all that good stuff. We'll do a rookie report, and then we'll also give our players of the week, performances of the week. So without wasting any more time, let me bring in my co-host, because it wouldn't be Let's Talk Dynasty without this guy. And let's get him in the building here. It is going to be MFGD's. War, how you doing, man?
What up? Shout out to all my dogs and dogettes out there. This is Let's Talk Dynasty. Let's go.
All right, man. Well, first and foremost, man, do you have just a brief like summary of where you're at this point in the fantasy football season? I mean, we're over a month and a week through this. How are your teams looking like? How are you feeling right now in fantasy football?
Well, to be quite frank, I'm feeling like dog crap. Speaking of dog, I got some teams that are middling. I got some teams that are failing. Injuries have definitely played a huge role in my season and where my teams are right now. It's not over yet, but it's starting to get late early, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, fair enough. I feel like for me right now, all things are looking good, man. I feel like I have some teams. I think my worst team right now is like 500. So I'm doing okay right now. I feel like I put some good rosters together. There's a couple of teams here, especially in some of these dynasty leagues, where I feel like it's time that I start looking at pushing some of those chips in and making a run. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully I can pull one of these home this year and go on from there. But I say we get into the week, man. And I feel like there's no better way to start. Obviously, it's the first game of the week. But your Chicago Bears, they played on Thursday Night Football. We always talk about the games. And they win this game at the Washington Commanders. It was 40-20, War. So how are you feeling about these Chicago Bears?
I told you. That's all it took. Was just a little push in the right direction. Whoa! I'm ready.
Now, I will say, last week you told everybody that they were going to get worked. Like you said, they were going to get destroyed.
I didn't say that.
You didn't say that?
No.
All right. Maybe you didn't.
I don't know who said that, but it wasn't me. I said we was going to work them.
Fair enough. Well, let's talk about some of the guys in this game because as I'm looking at it right now, your boy DJ Moore, he had a player of the week stripped from him late. We thought it was going to be a wrap, but because he went for 230 yards and 3 touchdowns. Justin Fields, 282 yards, 4 touchdowns. Khalil Herbert was having a good day until he got hurt. And it looks like you said he might get put on IR. You're the Bears guy. But over on the other side of the football, Sam Howell was the leading rusher for that team. He was 388 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Logan Thomas had himself a day too. 9 catches for 77 yards and a touchdown. So War, it looks like now 2 weeks into this or 2 weeks in a row now that Justin Fields and DJ Moore have kind of put it together. What does the outlook look like?
I mean, let me start by saying I'm a man of integrity. I did say they were going to get work last week. I was, and I couldn't be happier to be wrong. It just seemed like here's the thing. I had supreme faith that the Commanders' defensive front was going to shut down the Bears. I thought Fields was going to get sacked all night. I thought they weren't going to be able to do anything, and I overlooked that the Commanders have what I guess it's masquerading as an NFL secondary, because they got absolutely torched. They got torched by DJ. They got torched by Justin. They got torched by Cole Kmet. And they got torched by Khalil Herbert. And to make matters worse, the scary thing is Fields actually missed a few big plays to Darnell Mooney as well. So, and the refs made a phantom call and said that DJ stepped out of bounds. So, as bad as the Commanders got beat, they could have gotten beaten even worse. The Bears could have really put a 50 burger on the Commanders, and then who knows what the narrative would have been. The narrative is already Ron Rivera might be on his way out the door. And that's courtesy to beat down at the Bears game. You get beat by a team that hasn't won since this time last year. That's the gift you get. That's the return you get for getting beat by a team that bad. And that's the return that Mr. Ron, former Super Bowl winning Chicago Bear Rivera, is going to get. And there we are. I mean, what can we say? DJ Moore and Justin Fields probably single-handedly won you guys some games this week in your leagues. That's guaranteed. And I think it's also time to admit that Cole Kmet. Two things, you know what? I can't wait. I went back and looked at some of our old episodes of Let's Talk Dynasty. And there's a few things that I want to pull out the receipts for. I'm going to wait for one of them. I'm going to save it later. I'm going to save it for later. Let's just get it. Let's put a little sauce on it. Let's push it to the side. I'm going to say that one for you later. But the one I'm going to call you right now is that DJ Moore is a wide receiver one, like I said all summer he was going to be. And it's time to also pull a seat up at the table for Mr. Cole Kmet, because Cole Kmet is a tight end one in your fantasy leagues. You can safely start Cole Kmet. So many people in our leagues, outside of our leagues, told me that you cannot win with Cole Kmet as your starting tight end, and we know, and you know who I'm talking to. They said you couldn't win, and as you can see, Cole Kmet is out here putting people on their behinds.
Yeah, so, man. And I'm pulling it up. I looked at it because you see Parker in the chat. He says Riverboat Ron is gone first. I'm looking at these NFL head coaching odds over on Sportsbooks to who is the first head coach to be fired this year. And right now, number one is Commanders head coach Ron Rivera at -200. So it looks like Ron Rivera is most likely.
Isn't it fascinating, Andrew, that how the NFL changes, man? You looked at that this same time last week. I'm pretty sure
it was Eberflus.
It was Eberflus. Eberflus is a part of the beatdown that the Bears gave the Commanders, and he just took Ron Rivera and put him right in his spot. Here, you hold that.
I guess if you're the favorite to be fired and then you beat somebody, I guess they become the new favorite. So if the Commanders go out this week and they beat somebody, maybe that head coach is the next one most likely to be fired. So
maybe that might happen.
We'll see what happens, but I want to talk a little bit more about this game. I know you kind of, got your punches in, but we did have a performance of the week here, and Justin Fields did finish as the QB1 here in week 5. He scored 33 points. You obviously love to see it for you, I'm sure, as a Bears fan, but really when I'm looking at this game, man, like
so good.
I'm just looking at the game, right? And you guys looked good. I would say pretty much every quarter except that third quarter. That third quarter, you didn't score at all. But other than that, like you were putting up points. It looked good. Justin Fields looks good for the most part. The completion percentage, I'd like to see that come up a little bit. He was 15 for 29. And I still want to see you guys get Justin Fields running a little bit more. I just feel like he's not running still. So I want to see that come up. But even when we talk about the Commanders side of the football, they lost, but Sam Howell looked all right. I think Sam Howell's, we need to give Sam Howell a little bit of credit, man. I think for a week or two there, you and I were kind of getting ready to jump ship. But I think Sam Howell looks all right, man. I really think he's going to end up being the starter of this team for more than this season. Like, I think he'll be the starting quarterback of this team next year too.
Is he a viable quarterback two in fantasy football? Set and forget quarterback two in the Super
I think
League.
so. I think so. I mean, I have him in a dynasty league, and I'm looking at like him and Dak Prescott every week, and I'm like, I kind of lean Dak. I mean, I kind of lean Howell more than I lean Dak some of these weeks. So it's interesting to see. And I see we got Sleazeball FF in here. Go follow him over on Twitter. He puts out a bunch of content, so go watch him on Twitter. And he says Fields QB1 in week 6 too. So
Yo,
we'll
let's
see what
go.
happens, man. But yeah, man. Do you have any other takeaways from this game? I think really the only thing that I would want to talk just slightly more about is for some reason Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson are still just kind of non-factors in this offense.
They looking like Jags, man. They looking like Jags right now. I'm not talking about the ones in Jacksonville. I'm talking about they looking like just guys. I ain't
Yeah,
gonna lie
man.
to you.
For
Football
some
players.
reason, Sam Howell's favorite targets over the last few weeks have been Logan Thomas and Curtis Samuel. And if you guys saw the waiver wire video that we put out today, Logan Thomas is actually one of my favorite pickups at the tight end position here in the next couple weeks. He has 3 really good matchups. So if you need a tight end, go grab Logan Thomas. He plays bottom 10 defenses against the tight end position 3 straight weeks in a row. Should be a good little stream for you for the next couple weeks if you need a tight end. But other than that, War, I mean, is there much more to talk about?
Hey, Logan Thomas, that's a bad boy, man. Whenever he's healthy, he usually is putting up decent fantasy numbers. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It's just weird because nobody remembers Logan Thomas until he goes out and puts 25 on your head.
Exactly.
So
He's the sneak disc that keep on sneaking.
yeah, and then Sleazeball, he says the Atlanta corners this week are going to lock up Dotson and McLaurin. So yeah, it's not looking like a good game for them. I had Terry McLaurin nominated as a sit candidate for me this week, but I ended up going somewhere else with that one. But he was somebody I was looking at.
He's a
But
flex for sure. Just a flex though. I wouldn't. Yeah.
yeah, it's tough too. And I say sit candidate, but really what this is kind of turned into is just like likes and dislikes of the wide receiver position. So like, I understand not all leagues are set up the same. We understand that all leagues are not set up the same. So, for example, War, you and I play in a league where you could play 5 wide receivers. You're obviously not going to sit Terry McLaurin in that league where you play 5 wide receivers. But if you're in like a
It's
home
my
ESPN
strategy.
league, yeah, it's bold. But if you're in like a home ESPN league where you play 2 wide receiver slots, like you might sit Terry McLaurin. That might be a thing you do. So we understand not all are set up the same. So I've kind of turned this into a like and dislike and just kind of give you why I like the matchups or why I dislike the matchups. And then, let you guys kind of make those decisions as well. So anyways, let's hop over to the next game War. We're going across the pond again. And this is the Jacksonville Jaguars. They played against the Buffalo Bills. And this was a pretty good game. I'm not going to lie to you. It wasn't as high scoring as we would have liked, but the Jags win 25-20. And in this one, we did have another performance of the week. Travis Etienne, man, he was the RB1 on the week, finished with 36.4 points. That was 26 carries
Surprise,
for
surprise.
136 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he really went off. Trevor Lawrence, he kind of, did what Trevor Lawrence has been doing, which has been 300 yards and a touchdown, and they do everything else on the ground. So I don't know what to do with Trevor Lawrence up to this point. Josh Allen looked like prime Josh Allen in this one, man. There was like 10 seconds left in the quarter or something, and this man was putting dots down like to Gabe Davis on the sideline. Dude, Josh Allen looked good. 31 points in fantasy for him. It was 359 yards, 2 touchdowns in the air, and then 1 touchdown on the ground. And then Stephon Diggs put on as well. Calvin really had a good game too, but Stephon Diggs put on 8 catches for 121 yards and 1 touchdown.
Man, those Jacksonville Jaguars of London, they tough.
They
They
need to
tough,
just
man.
move over there.
They do. And I think that should be their real name, the Jacksonville Jaguars of London. I think that'll actually be like their team name. Trevor Lawrence. I have to believe that with his immense talent, that we're not going to continue to get these QB2 numbers from him. I have to believe that. I have to believe that Trevor Lawrence isn't a guy who we're looking at and saying, okay, well, he'll be my second quarterback in a super flex league. Because right now, that's how he's playing. Like, not going to lie to you, Calvin Ridley. Um, as long as Trevor is throwing down the field, I think Christian Kirk did well this game too. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know if that translated to fantasy, but
I'll give you the stats. He had 6 catches for 78 yards. So in your PPR leagues, it was 14 points.
yeah, that's good for him. And ETN, man, I might have to. Historically, I don't like Travis Etienne. I don't like him, but
Yeah, look, I think we need to, in all transparency, we've been very transparent on the show for the most part. Um, we gave Travis Etienne a lot of crap this offseason. We gave him a lot. We were pretty negative on Travis Etienne, and I think we've been wrong. We've been wrong up to this point.
part of that is that Tank Bigsby is not living up to what we felt he could live up to.
He's kind of been a non-factor so far.
He's kind of been a non-factor, so I think that goes into that. Um, the Bills offense, I mean, Josh Allen is such a dude. Like, every once in a while, he'll have like a pea-brain game where he just doesn't really perform the way we expect him to perform, but you never mention Josh Allen, and you almost always expect him to go out there and ball. Diggs, what can we say about Diggs? I do want to bring up, and we had a little bit of Gabe Davis, which is a turn in the right direction, because I do want to bring up that I kind of feel like the Bills' other weapon, the others, the non-Stephon Diggses of the world, I feel like they're not doing much as a whole this season. And I think that for fantasy players with those players on their team, we need to see them do more. And even the Bills as a team itself, we need to see those guys do more.
Yeah, and you see Sleazeball over here. He says, "What was the reasoning for not liking ETN?" And keep in mind, Sleaze, this is, we do this show called Let's Talk Dynasty. This is, all dynasty fantasy football perspective. So we were kind of, poo pooing on the idea of Travis Etienne because of the addition of Tank Bigsby going and grabbing a running back in the 3rd round, having history of splitting carries with guys like James Robinson and having those guys look equally as well. We just kind of didn't like the projection as far as what we thought volume would look like. And so far, Travis Etienne has so much volume that we look crazy for ever even thinking that. So that was kind of the reason why we were thinking that. Ultimately, we ended up being wrong. I like Travis Etienne in my pre-draft rankings. I liked Tank Bigsby in my pre-draft rankings, and then he lands with Etienne. So just a combination of all of those things, we were kind of lower on him than consensus.
Yeah, I agree. He's definitely proven us wrong here for sure.
Yeah, and you see Caleb, he says, keep up the content, gents. So appreciate you, Caleb.
Go.
But yeah, man, I feel like when I look at like this game and really, we can't say too much. I know for fantasy football purposes, Trevor Lawrence keeps giving us these QB2 weeks, like we said, but the Jags are winning football games against some good football teams. So it's kind of tough to say that, this is one of those things where like real life football and fantasy football do not correlate. A lot of the times they do correlate, but this is one of those ones where it's like he's playing bad in fantasy, but they're playing good in real life, so it really doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, and the coaches and the players, they really don't care about what we think as far as fantasy numbers. So I mean, keep going out there and do your thing. You gotta keep starting Trevor every week, regardless, and just hope that he puts up 30 plus games somewhere. I feel like he's getting there. I feel like he's on his way.
Yeah, and I just want to go ahead.
I was watching something yesterday about, and I think who it was. I think it could have been Kurt Warner or one of those guys. They were talking about how we need to give these young quarterbacks, more time to get to where they're going. Like, a lot of us were out on fields like after a couple games, but like Fields started slow last season, so why would we think that he couldn't turn it around? And I think that goes for a lot of these quarterbacks. So I'm definitely not going to jump the ship on Trevor at this point in the season when I have the knowledge to know that he could turn around and just be where he was at the end of last season.
Yeah, and I pulled up Keep Trade Cut just while we were talking because I wanted to kind of see where Trevor Lawrence is being valued now in the Dynasty community compared to where he was being valued at preseason. And there's been a little bit of switching on this leaderboard for the most part. Coming into the year, Trevor Lawrence was being valued as the QB6 in Dynasty Fantasy Football Leagues. We're now 5 weeks into the season, and he's being valued as the quarterback 9. So he's still being valued as a top 10 guy, but he has been passed by Lamar Jackson, Anthony Richardson, and CJ Stroud. So what is your thoughts on those 3 guys passing Trevor? Do you prefer those 3 over Trevor?
I prefer Trevor.
You prefer Trevor to those 3?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. I think
I traded Lamar for Trevor this past offseason, so I feel like the longevity of it will put Trevor ahead of Richardson and Lamar. And I just think that when you go blow for blow, Trevor Lawrence versus CJ Stroud, take nothing away from CJ Stroud. He's having a great season. But once the NFL adjusts to him, how will he adjust to the NFL adjusting to him? So I think I'll still pick Trevor. So
yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, I love everything that CJ Stroud has put on tape up to this point. I love everything that he's done. He looks like a stud right now. But you're right. We'll see we'll see how he continues to develop at the NFL level. But speaking about the Texans, man, Texans, they went on the road. They played the Atlanta Falcons. They lost 19-21. And CJ Stroud in this one, 249 yards, 1 touchdown. Dameon Pierce, 20 carries for 66 yards. Dalton Schultz was the leading wide receiver, 7 receptions for 65 yards, 1 touchdown. Then on the other side of the football, if you streamed Desmond Ridder, like I didn't because I had the choice to stream Desmond, I didn't. Dude went off. I was sitting here on this show just a week ago talking about he could potentially get benched, and then he went off. 329 yards and a touchdown, and he also had one on the ground, I'm pretty sure. And then Bijan Robinson, 14 carries, 46 yards. Hey, Kyle Pitts was the leading wide receiver. 7 catches for 87 yards. So what do you think about this one, War? Like I said, the Falcons squeak it out in the fourth quarter. They end up winning at the end of that game.
I have something to say to all the Atlanta Falcons fans out there. Don't get used to this. It's not going to keep happening. Desmond Ridder's not going to keep going on. And by proxy, Kyle Pitts is not going to go off. I mean, this is a nice game. You didn't stream Desmond Ridder. You were right not to stream Desmond Ridder. There's not many people on planet Earth who would have knowingly and willfully started Desmond Ridder and streamed him last week or any other week for that matter.
I think I saw a stat that was like he was started in 1% of leagues.
Yeah, if for example, if he's on my waiver wire tonight, I'm not putting a bid on Desmond Ridder. I'm just gonna be like, okay, this was a game that this happened. Because the chariot will turn back into a pumpkin when the clock strikes midnight. I can guarantee you that on Desmond Ridder.
Fair enough. I mean, as I'm looking at this game, man, another positive sign. I mean, when Desmond Ridder played well, Kyle Pitts plays well, and so does Drake London. Drake London had 6 catches for 78 yards as well in this one. He had am I seeing this right? He threw a pass for 22 yards. Good game from all of those weapons. Really, the one that had the most disappointing game was Bijan, but he still fell in the end zone, so you're pretty okay about that. But really, for the Texans, nobody stood out. I mean, Dalton Schultz had himself a day, but Tank Dell was pretty much MIA. Nico Collins MIA. Robert Woods, John Mechie, all those guys really MIA. Dameon Pierce doing the huge, which is like 20 carries for like 60 yards and no touchdowns. That's pretty much what Dameon Pierce is doing these days.
Leave Dameon alone.
But other than that, somehow the Texans continued to stay, and I know we're talking about the Atlanta Falcons. Somehow the Texans stayed competitive, even though they're playing with like a makeshift offensive line. The defense is all hurt. They got like half their starters out on both sides of the football. So I think, what do you think about this Texans team moving forward? Do you think the future is somewhat bright for this Texans team?
I mean, I hate to take the high road, but I guess we'll see. I mean, that's pretty much all I could say about it. I mean, there's a lot going on with the Texans that there's a lot of we'll see going on in my head. We'll see if CJ Stroud continues this. We'll see if Nico Collins keeps balling. Like, we'll see. Once we get to the true halfway point of the season, which is just a couple weeks away, surprisingly, I'll have a more
Yeah.
definitive answer on what I think we're going to get out of the Texans for the long run.
Yeah, and you see Sleaze, he says, do you think we're going to see Heineke this year?
I think he staved off Heineke for at least another couple weeks, but Heineke's coming. He's coming.
It's a 3-2 football team. It's tough for me to think that if they continue to remain at 500 or above 500, that they will transition that quarterback position. It's hard for me to think they will. You know what I keep thinking though, and I said this in one of our dynasty leagues today, because somebody asked me. They said, "What do you think is going to happen here?" Justin Jefferson, and I don't want to spoil too much when we talk about the Vikings, but Justin Jefferson's put on IR. The Vikings are 1-4 now. It's looking like darker days over there in Minnesota right now. And obviously the biggest question in the room right now is, are they going to continue with Kirk Cousins moving forward? Like if they end up finishing this season with 4 wins, 3 wins, something like that, because JJ's not playing, they just aren't getting it together. Will they continue to have Kirk Cousins? And I said, if they moved on, because Kirk is a free agent at the end of the season, if they moved on, wouldn't Kirk Cousins be such a good fit for this Atlanta Falcons football team?
I mean, to get them from point C or point D to point C plus or B, yeah.
I just think that with the weapons they have, London, Pitts, Bijan, like they have a decent offensive line. The defense is decent. Like the division is up for grabs still. You and I, we both thought the Saints were going to be the best team in this division. And so far it's been pretty much, we don't know who the best team is here. It might be a move that could help them win that division for sure.
I can see that. So, but we'll talk more about that when we get to the Vikings segment.
Yeah, we can talk more about that. But let's move on to our next game here. And the next game is the Panthers at the Lions. The Lions put 42 points on the ass, man. 42-24. Bryce Young in this one, though, we will say he did look decent, man. He looked like he kind of figured it out. We've been waiting for Bryce Young to kind of put something on tape. He goes out, he puts 250 yards, 3 touchdowns on tape in this one. So decent game against a good defense. I'd say that Lions defense is a good defense. So good game from Bryce. When we look at the other, leading game leaders in there, Chuba Hubbard was the leading running back for 9 carries, 35 yards. Adam Thielen, the ageless wonder, he's 11 receptions for 107 yards and a touchdown. But then over there on the Lions side of the ball, man, Jared Goff, 240 and 3 touchdowns. Monty, 109 yards and a touchdown. And then Josh Reynolds, the leading wide receiver, 76 yards and a touchdown. And he was the leading wide receiver because no Amon-Ra St. Brown in this game. So how do you feel about, this game as a whole war? How do you feel about these players that have been, kind of developing and growing on both sides of the ball? And what do you think about the outlook?
I'll take Bryce's performance with a grain of salt. Like, he did that because they was getting their butts handed to him the whole time. He had no choice but to throw. I want. I'm sorry, Bryce. You can develop next year. I need and want you to be bad this year. I'm sorry. I'm strongly rooting against you.
You got mixed. It's like conflicts in interest, man. Like you're out here rooting against the man just for your own gain.
Yeah, that's how life goes.
Right. This dude's just a kid, man. He's like 20. No, he's like 21.
He'll be all right next season. Next season, he'll be all right. The Panthers, I want no parts of the Panthers. And we go back and forth about this. I'm ready for us to announce that Miles Sanders is garbage, but you are still holding on.
I think really where I'm at with this, it's tough for me to tell, man. And I think for the most part, he has been very underwhelming this year. Although it's not like you and I were ever pumping him as like a must grab guy. Like we liked the value that you could get on Miles Sanders. He was being drafted fairly low in your fantasy football leagues. And we thought that he had the opportunity to fall into some volume and have some good upside there at the running back position. So far this year, he hasn't lived up to that. I wouldn't say you feel burned on Miles Sanders because you didn't pay a lot for Miles Sanders, but it's also tough for me to tell, man, because he's been battling this groin injury for the last 3 weeks. is Miles Sanders even healthy? Does it matter if he's healthy to you? Like, or are you just saying like this dude's trash no matter what? It doesn't matter if he has a groin injury.
You know, I'll give him a tiny benefit of the doubt because if you think back, we've seen this from Miles Sanders before. We've seen him have an injury and him get healthy and him play like a completely, entirely different person. So we'll see on him.
Yeah, and it's tough too because I think the offense just hasn't been that good. But one thing that I want to talk about, War, is, and I didn't mention this at the beginning of this game, but Jahmyr Gibbs missed this one because of a hamstring injury, so he didn't play in this one. But it didn't matter because they probably would have ran David Montgomery 150 times anyways, and then just put Jahmyr Gibbs on the bench. As much as I love Jahmyr, I think it's just the pain talking inside of me because Dan Campbell just clearly loves David Montgomery, and I guess for good reasons. He looks good so far this year. But Sam Laporta had 2 touchdowns in this one, 47 yards, 2 touchdowns. He looks good. And my question to you, War, is where at this point, where are we valuing Sam Laporta in dynasty rankings at the tight end position? Like, is he top 3?
Let's see. Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews. Yeah, Mark Andrews. TJ Hawkinson. And I cannot go any further than that without saying Sam Laporta.
So you have Sam Laporta at number 4.
Yeah. Ahead of Dallas Goedert. Yeah.
What if I told you that Keep Trade Cut right now, the community ranks that everybody votes on, and people, I know, take it with a grain of salt. People love it. People hate it. Doesn't matter. I don't care your opinion on Keep Trade Cut. It shows us a glance at what the community values. They have Sam Laporta as the tight end 1. The tight end 1.
And they're tight end wrong.
Tight end wrong.
They're tight end wrong. That's all I got to say about that.
He looks so good, though. He looks
People
so
are
good.
Prisoners of the moment.
Yeah, he looks so good. But I wouldn't have him as my tight end 1 yet. We have such a small sample size. I kind of want to see, I want to see what, and I don't think it's going to matter. Let me say that right now. I don't think it's going to matter, but I want to see what Laporta's role looks like when JMO is on the field, when Amon-Ra is on the field, when Gibbs and Monty are on the field. I want to see everybody on the field because so far we've had Amon-Ra out or JMO out or Jahmyr out. It's like they've been missing a weapon every week. And that's why guys like Josh Reynolds are, their leading receivers for the week. But I want to see the whole puzzle put together and let's see what everybody's role looks like for a good 4 or 5 game stretch.
Let's see it. I want to see. I'm curious to see how that works out too.
We'll see it. And then I want to talk about one more guy, just for dynasty purposes. But how are we feeling right now, War, about Jonathan Mingo? Because he was that 2nd round draft pick for the Carolina Panthers. In this one, I want to say it was one of his best games of the year. It was his best game of the year. He had 7 targets, 5 catches for 48 yards. But it was the wide receiver 36 on the week. So how do we feel about Jonathan Mingo? And, what's the temperature check on him right now?
If we're in redraft, we're not feeling anything. If we're Jonathan Mingo, if we're in Dynasty, we're starting to feel a little bit more optimistic about Mingo. So it's more of a wait and see approach, but at least now we're not worried about him being a non-contributor.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, let's go over to this next game where it is the Titans at the Colts. 16 for the Titans, 23 for the Colts in this one. And really the biggest news that came out of this is, hey, Jonathan Taylor is back, but we're just going to run Zach Moss. It don't matter if Jonathan Taylor is back. And the other part of this is Anthony Richardson is now being evaluated for a shoulder injury. It looks like Gardner Minshew is the starting quarterback this week. So let me give you some of the a little bit. So let me give you some of the stats from the game, some of the game leaders here. Ryan Tannehill, he had 264 yards and an interception, no touchdowns. Derrick Henry, 13 carries for 43 yards. DeAndre Hopkins, 8 receptions for 140 yards. So D-Hop showed up for us in this one. I said Zach Moss, man, he was the leading rusher, 165 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Josh Downs, the leading wide receiver for the Colts, 6 receptions for 97 yards.
We got to see, man. It's very simple, elementary logic to me. It's probably the same for you. If we're getting Gardner Minshew for an extended period of time, then that boosts up the entire receiving corps for the Indianapolis Colts. We agree on that, right?
I'm leaning less towards that these days. Honestly, I think Anthony Richardson has shown me enough as a passer at the NFL level that I'm leaning a little bit less towards that.
Okay.
But I think there will be more passing volume, which is good for wide receivers.
Yeah, that's more what I'm thinking about, because I really wasn't seeing these type of performances out of Josh Downs with A-Rich behind center. And, ultimately Downs is going to be the guy that they want to tab as, even though Pittman's still there, they want Downs to pan out to be the guy, I would imagine.
I mean, I would think that Pittman should be the guy. But I think you're right, though. They drafted Josh Downs because they need that. They need that slot wide receiver. They need that kind of safety valve for Anthony Richardson for his development. So they need Josh Downs to develop, and they need him to be a good piece of this offense. But I think the way that I look at it is Pittman is the X. He's the alpha. He's the guy who's going to go get it no matter what. Like, you're looking at him first read almost every time. But Alec Pierce, he's kind of that Z, that deep threat. You want him to be, I guess, a big play guy, but he's kind of been non-existent over the last little while. And then Josh Downs is that safety valve for you. But I think overall, man, it's been good. But they're not going to just keep Jonathan Taylor, doing, what did he do today? 6 carries for 18 yards. They're not going to do that for much longer, right? Like, you think they make the switch this week or next?
I think the question shouldn't be, are they going to keep doing that to Taylor? Because we know that's not happening. We know that Taylor is going to, get carries and this, down, the third. I think the question we should be asking is, has Zach Moss earned his way into getting a significant role with Taylor still in the offense?
Yeah,
and I think
maybe
that's the question
a little
we need
bit
to
more
ask.
like a 65-35 split, whereas before it was really like 80-20.
We need to see if Zach is going to get enough snaps and enough opportunity to be a guy who you consider to put in your flex spot on a week-to-week basis. And I would say, with what we knew about Zach Moss coming into the season, I think that that's something that nobody probably seen coming.
I didn't, and honestly, I missed a call that I made last week because I said that I was telling people that if you had Zach Moss, you probably wouldn't need him much longer. I knew that they were going to have Jonathan Taylor on a snap count, but I was like, really, after this week, like, I feel like you can pretty much get rid of Zach Moss unless you're the Jonathan Taylor owner. But after what he did last week, I'm like, wait, maybe you need to keep Zach Moss on your roster for a few more weeks. Maybe we don't get rid of him right away. But I was looking to put him on the waivers and go pick somebody else up.
Yeah, I think he's worth waiver wire consideration too if he's still there.
Yeah. And we have we already touched on the Bills, but we got a question in the chat, so I'll have you answer it anyways, because we didn't talk about him, and they said thoughts on Dalton Kincaid. Do we give up on him yet? I don't think you give up on him.
In redraft, we give up on him.
In redraft, you do?
We give up on him in redraft, and I say that because I gave up on him.
Dynasty, hell no, we're not giving up on him.
Yeah. Dynasty, no. In Dynasty, I got an offer in one of my leagues where I really had to think about it. If it wasn't for the fact that Michael Mayer was playing so bad, I might have thought about pulling the trigger. But I got offered Michael Mayer and Dalton Kincaid for TJ Hawkinson. And I sat there and, I actually have, funny enough, my team, and I meant to show you this, Andrew. I have a team that almost exclusively has Vikings and Bears players. I have Justin Fields, DJ, Cole Kmet, TJ Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson, Alexander Madison. With JJ going, I said, okay, well, there's no way that I'm going to be able to still win this season. But I looked at my next 3 opponents, and they're all I could win 3 of the next 4 with the people I'm playing because they're all tanking. So I figured if I could hold out until then, JJ might be back. But I'm going to revisit that trade if JJ decides that he's not coming back this season. More on that later.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with JJ. I let's get back to the Titans though, because I do want to talk one more piece, and I bring it up every week. So, Ward, do you know who we're going to talk about?
Tajay Sharp.
Tajay Spears, man.
Spears. I'm getting that. Look, I got his first name right. I got his first name.
Yeah,
who the hell is Tajay Sharp?
Tajay Spears, man. He finished as a running back 1 this week. He had 34 yards on the ground, 35 yards in the air, and a touchdown, finished with 17 PPR points. Tajay Spears is a good running back, man. Like, I really do think that he is the heir to the throne to King Henry. And King Henry, for the most part, doesn't look fully King Henry anymore.
You just wishing, you just praying on the King's downfall, ain't you?
Look,
just
man,
praying on the King's downfall.
Every few years, you know, a king's reign comes to an end, and there needs to be a new king. There's a new heir to the throne, and it's gonna be, and it's gotta be, and it should be Tajay Spears.
We'll see, because we've seen this story. We've seen this song and dance before. Oh, King Henry, ding dong, the king is dead. The king is dead. And then next thing you know, it starts to, you know what I'm going to say? When it starts to get a little colder, it starts, winter hits, late fall.
Winter
next thing you know, King Henry is running over everybody. Then we're like, oh, man, why did this happen? So, I mean, if you could buy loan King Henry right now, I would say you should do it. But especially if you could also get Tajay Spears. Spears.
Yeah. I mean, it's a chance. We'll see, man. But really, other than that, I think there's nothing else really left at this game. I think we should go over to the next one.
To be fair, Tajay Sharp was also a former Titan. So
yeah, he was. He was also a Bear and a Falcon and a Viking and a
Viking.
Yeah, he was everything, man. But the next game we have here, War, was Giants at Dolphins. The Dolphins continue to win football games. They're 4-1. The Giants are 1-4. When you look at the leaders in this game, man, Daniel Jones, 119 yards, 0 touchdowns. Eric Gray's the leading rusher. Darren Waller finally decided to show up, man. His flight to New York was delayed about 5 weeks, but he had 8 catches for 86 yards. Tua, 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had 2 picks in this game, though. And then Devon Achane, 11 carries, 151 yards, a touchdown, and a knee injury in this one.
A knee injury, yeah.
And then Tyreek Hill, he had 8 catches for 181 yards and a touchdown. So business as usual for Miami, man. It's like they just came in, they handled business, they put up 30 points, and they leave with a dub pretty much every week, it seems.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, what can we say? Do we even have to mention anything else about the New York Football Giants? We don't have to mention anything else about them, right? I'm pretty sure they're regretting that contract to Danny Dimes. I'm pretty sure, and I also think we need to put Brian Daboll's name up there near Ron Rivera as far as like the coaches that might get fired. So I mean, this game is all about the Miami Dolphins. Tyreek Hill, he's continuing his quest to get 2,000 yards. Tua threw 2 interceptions, but it kind of didn't matter. My biggest takeaway from this game is, when are we, if ever, are we going to see the real Jalen Waddle? I feel like we still haven't seen the wide receiver 10 from last season yet. And I'm still waiting for him to show up. Where are you, Jalen?
Yeah, I mean, not a horrible day. I mean, he fell into the end zone.
Just not.
It's just so far this year. I mean, let's look at the finishes, man. 11 points week 1, 12 points week 2, an injury in week 3 where he didn't play, 8 points week 4, 14 points week 5. Right now, he's sitting at wide receiver 47 on the season. You're not happy if you drafted Jalen Waddle, but also you can't say that he's like playing horrible. So it's like, what are we doing? Are we benching Jalen Waddle until further notice? I feel like I don't want to bench Jalen Waddle.
I mean, we're not benching him, but you're familiar with one of my teams. He's the reason why I have so many wide receivers. Like, Jalen, I feel like at some point we'll see him, but he can't just sit back and just let Tyreek just eat all the cookies and cake at the party. He got to get him some cookies and cake too.
Yeah, I agree. And I want to pull this up because we talked about Achan's injury, man. There's most likely news right now that we're seeing is Tom Pelissero is saying that, they think he's going to miss multiple weeks at this point. They just activated the return window for Jeff Wilson. So Jeff Wilson's going to come off of IR most likely this week, I would assume. And then Achan is most likely going to miss a few games. And I've heard rumblings that they might potentially put him on IR as well. So we'll see what happens with Achan. But what obviously unfortunate for him because he's been balling out. I mean, he's right now the running back 3 in fantasy football. So
Who would have thought?
he's been balling. But I want to bring up and I want to show this clip of Mike McDaniel here. And Mike McDaniel, this is kind of what they asked him what what the extent of the injury was for Achan, and this is kind of the response here.
Is he undergoing like an MRI today or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's various things that he's undergoing, handshakes as well, high fives. I think he, from all accounts, he had a good breakfast and lunch.
Is he?
That is a response we get about Achan.
Mike McDaniel, man. You gotta love Mike McDaniel. Man, this guy. Breakfast and lunch.
Good. He's going through a various of things. Handshakes, high fives. I think he had a good breakfast and lunch. So we'll see. It doesn't really clear up whether or not they think he's going to go on IR, but that was the response we got from the head coach.
I mean, it kind of came out of nowhere, too. Do you remember at any point during their game where it was like, oh, Achane is down, he's coming out, and anything? No. I mean, if I am an Achane owner in Dynasty, obviously, I'm like, okay, I'll just keep him on the bench until further notice. But if I'm an Achane owner in redraft, I'm not panicking just yet about this injury. Like, I feel like there's not enough known about it. It feels like all speculation. It feels like he can miss this upcoming week, and then poof, all of a sudden you start getting reports midweek next week about, oh, A-Chain's pushing the play. So I'm not doing anything. Unless he gets put on IR, I'm not panicking on A-Chain at all.
You picking up Jeff Wilson, though, in your leagues? You should look at him at least, right?
I won't say.
Okay, well, that tells me everything I need to know. Why don't we move on over to the next game here? We got the Saints at the Patriots, and we had a donut, man. Mac Jones, he gave us a donut, bro. So we got 34 points for the Saints, 0 for the Patriots. The Patriots are 1-4. Derek Carr actually looked decent, 183 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kamara, he had 80 yards and a touchdown. Michael Thomas, 65 yards. Mac Jones, 110 yards, 2 interceptions. We got to see a little bit more Bailey Zappi in this one towards the end of the game. Still, Bill Belichick said that Mac Jones wasn't benched. There's just
Bill Belichick needs to worry about his future forced resignation that he's going to have pushed on him at the end of the season. Yeah, I heard Bill say, oh, yeah, we're still going to start Mac Jones. I mean, do what you got to do, Bill, but it's not looking good. You got 2 donuts. I don't think it was 2. This wasn't 2 donuts in a week, 2 weeks in a row. It was 2 worst losses ever
in franchise history.
In franchise history.
Or not franchise. It might be franchise history, but it might just be under the Bill Belichick-led team. So it could be Bill Belichick-led teams.
I don't know, man. The Patriots, they're a real shady operation over there. They're a real shady operation. Could I see them saying, how many wins do they have? 1?
1.
Yeah, I think either this week or the week after this week, you're going to start seeing some teams getting serious. Caleb Williams positioning.
Yeah, it's going to start getting a little bit crazy out here.
Yeah. I thought my team was going to be a part of that, but I'm thinking that now they're probably just going to let the Panthers do the dirty work. Let them do the dirty work, and then we'll see where we at.
If y'all beat
Yeah.
us, I kind of want my team to just start getting in position.
I think that too. I said that too. If the Vikings lose to the Bears, then they should just go ahead and fold up their flag and just go ahead
and I don't mind whether
send a
it's,
little ship out into burn a little ship. What do Vikings do? Burn a little ship and just
burn the
push it out
ships.
to the ocean. Yeah, let the ship burn.
And maybe it's maybe it's Caleb, maybe it's not, maybe it's Drake May. I don't really care at that point.
Y'all need somebody. It's time. It's time.
It's time. We've done this. We've done this. For what is it now? 5 years, 6 years with Kirk. Like we've done this for a while now, and I feel like we keep getting the same result. And I finally looked at myself in the mirror. That's like,
all right, Andrew, hold on. Let me stop you there, Andrew. Let's say because
right.
this week, last week it was my turn. This week is your turn to unleash. This is your turn to unleash this week. So I'm gonna say I'm just gonna put the Patriots to the side. Talking about them is depressing. I'm gonna just ask you a question. Is Alvin Kamara a running back one again? Are we talking about running back one, Alvin Kamara? Are we ready to give him that title again?
Look, man, 2 finishes now in the top 10. Week 4, he was running back 9 on the week, and he did it all through the air. It was 14 targets, 13 catches. Week 5, he's the running back 7. None of it was through the air. It was all on the ground. It was 22 carries for 80 yards and a touchdown. So he's done it on the ground. He's done it in the air. It's hard to think that with the usage he's getting, I think we all missed. You either missed out on a value of Alvin Kamara, or you're really, really happy that you bought into Alvin Kamara despite the legal allegations, the legal stuff that came up, the suspensions, all the age cliff, all the blah, 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 all the talking points we had with Alvin Kamara. If you bought in, you probably got a good discount and you're probably really happy right now.
Oh, yeah, especially if you drafted him late. Yeah.
Yeah.
My second
really
question
happy
to you is, what is going on with Chris Olave?
It's tough to tell right now. I think for the most part, when I was watching the pregame warmups, I follow. I want to give you his name properly because he does good work. His name's Jeff Mueller. He's physical therapy, doctor of physical therapy. You can find him on Twitter at JMThrivePT. So go find him. He works with Destination Devy, some of these other accounts, but really he was showing a video in preseason. I mean, not in preseason, in pregame, and Chris Olave was favoring a right hip, something on the right side. We couldn't really tell what he was favoring, but it looked like he went into this game hurt. Maybe he injured it in last game, and they just have kind of been keeping it hush. But it's tough to tell. I would say last week, it was just poor Derek Carr play. He had the AC joint injury. He wasn't really pushing the ball downfield. That's where Olave thrives. This game, I don't know. Maybe Olave was battling something. I'm not ready to push the panic button on Chris Olave. I still think he's winning at a route running level. He's just not getting the ball right now, and I'm not too worried about him. But in fact, I think if you can go buy low on Chris Olave right now for people who are worried about him, I'd be doing that in my dynasty leagues.
Yeah, I agree. I've tried.
I tried today as well, and I got turned away. I tried offering a first and a second round pick in 2024 and seeing if that would, at least spark some interest. And I basically got the door slammed on me like within 5 seconds. So it didn't last very long.
I'll try with Dak. So
Superflex league though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that was in a redraft league though?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe not as much, but I don't know, man. I thought a first and a second round pick was, somewhat decent of an offer, at least to come in as my first offer.
Yeah, first offer, yeah.
But he told me to turn around and never come back. So he must have not wanted to trade Chris Olave. So we'll see what happens. But we do have a comment in here I want to get to. And Griffin says Broncos are looking to start the rebuild. And we can talk about that here soon because we have the Broncos on our dock here in just a little bit, a couple more games. But the next game on our docket here is going to be the Ravens at the Steelers. And the Steelers actually win this football game where they come in or they're at home Kenny Pickett comes off the injury. Lamar Jackson, he goes out and he puts up 236 yards and interception, 0 touchdowns. He's not getting a lot of help from the ground game. It's Justice Hill who's the leading rusher over there right now. Zay Flowers, 5 catches for 73 yards. But Kenny Pickett, he has 224 and a touchdown. Jaylen Warren is the leading rusher with 9 carries and 40 yards. And then George Pickens, 6 catches, 130 yards, and a touchdown. So a good game from George Pickens here. But what are you thinking? I wanted to ask you this earlier in the week, but I decided to save it for this episode. The Baltimore Ravens are 3-2, but Lamar Jackson hasn't looked very good so far this year. Now, keep in mind, the offensive line has been a little banged up, and he lost J.K. Dobbins, which is a key part of the offense. But they just paid him a bag of money this offseason. Is there a chance that the Ravens might be kind of looking at it like, did we mess up?
Man, it would suck for them, wouldn't it?
Because they held strong. It was like they were not going to pay him. They
strong.
were not going to pay him. And then it finally was like, fine, we'll pay you, man.
They caved in, and now they're probably like crap. They're probably like crap. They probably feel like crap after they paid them, just like the people who traded Justin Jefferson today for pantry items.
Yeah, that ruined my morning when I woke up and saw that crap.
Yeah. Man, the Ravens offense is just both of these teams, for that matter, except for George Pickens. Man, this offense is just something that, like, if I can pass on it, if I don't have to have any of them, then I don't want them. I do feel like the Steelers will be better once Deontay is back. I think that'll make Kenny Pickett better as well. So We'll see, man. We'll see. The Steelers and that division is completely up for grabs.
And Freiermuth didn't play in this one either. Freiermuth missed this game, so he was pretty much without 2 of his starting receiving options. And I feel like every day that Najee Harris suits up, he's basically without his starting running back as well. So it doesn't matter if Najee's on the field; he just doesn't have a starting running back. But
I feel like this team will be better after the bye week.
You think so?
Yeah.
They're 3-2 right now. I don't know, man. I think they're good. I think they're a decent football team. Odell Beckham, I think he left this game with an injury. I don't know if we've even seen much of Odell Beckham already this year.
He's done.
Is he cooked, man? He's just cooked?
He's cooked. I think he's done. And I thought, what's funny is, and I don't think it's funny because it's his career, was funny before the season even started, I was trying to figure out why was there so much fanfare about Odell Beckham going to the Ravens and this and that. I just didn't see it. I never saw it. Like, I was like, big deal. Like, Odell Beckham signing with the Ravens to me was no more than Robert Woods signing with the Titans. I'll be completely honest with you. He's not the same. They were talking about him as if like making a big deal. Where is he going to go? Where is he going to go?
Like he was the best wide receiver free agent in the market.
Yeah, and I just thought that was just insane to me. So now we're seeing, the fruits of that labor, and it's not tasting very good when you pull off the tree.
Yeah, man. I just think it's tough when you have that many injuries. Like, if you go look at his injury history, it's like a CVS receipt, man. Like, there is so much stuff on that thing. So it's tough to look at that injury report with Odell Beckham. But unfortunate, man, because he was electric. But I think, I'm the same way. I think he's cooked. I'm not really looking to keep him on any of my dynasty leagues. Like, let me ask you this, War.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody offers you a 3rd-round pick for Odell Beckham right now in a dynasty. You taking it?
And I got Odell, and I'm trading him.
Yep.
Odell, hey, pack your bags. Don't forget your underwear. You got to go. You're out of here.
You're taking that 3rd.
Yeah, he gone.
Taking that 3rd. Fair enough. Anyways, man, let's get into the next game. I don't think there's many other takeaways from there. Yeah, I don't really think there's any other takeaways there as I'm looking at it. So, next game here, man, it was the Bengals at the Cardinals. The Bengals had 34 points. Cardinals had 20, so they go ahead and go on the road, and they win this one. And holy heck, War, Joe Burrow remembered how to play football. It's
Joe Burrow,
317
welcome
yards,
back to the NFL.
3 touchdowns. You go look at Joe Mixon, 81 yards on the ground. You look at Jamar Chase, and while I talk about Jamar Chase, we got the player of the week here, man. He had 15 receptions for 192 yards and 3 touchdowns. 52.2 fantasy points in week 5, your wide receiver 1 on the week. And then over on the other side of the football, Josh Dobbs, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Probably the worst game we've seen from Josh Dobbs so far. Rondell Moore, the leading receiver, and Hollywood, or the leading rusher, Rondell Moore, the leading rusher, Rondell Moore. James Conner goes out in this game. And then Marquise Hollywood Brown, 4 receptions, 61 yards, and a touchdown. So what are your takeaways here, War? I mean, really, we've been talking about the Bengals needing to wake up all year long, and here they are.
Okay, I'm going to start with the Cardinals just to get the lesser team out the way. Dobbs, he reverted back to what we thought he was initially, but I still would give him some more time before I just assume that he's going to not turn it around at all. James Conner is on IR, so we're going to see. And I'm going to go ahead and pull out my next receipt from this summer. And I seen a little scoff by you when I brought this name up this summer. Or was it like right at the start of the season? I told you, I said Emari DeMarcado. Remember that?
Yeah.
And you had the look on your face like, oh, that's a random name to bring up. But I had a little insight on Emari DeMarcado, and here he is starting. But I wonder if they're going to be starting, if they're going to actually try to run Rondell Moore out of the backfield and just have DeMarcado spell him. So we'll see.
I wanted to talk about that a little bit more too, because DeMarcado, he's a guy that I made a video on waiver wire pickups, and I record a day before it comes out. So like if the video comes out on Tuesday, I recorded it on Monday. And so I recorded this yesterday, and it came out today. James Conner was not on IR. There was no reports that he was going to be put on IR yesterday. And so in the video, I was talking about, here's DeMarcado. You could pick him up, but we don't really know what's going on with James Conner. So like, I can't tell you to really invest in DeMarcado at this point because, all initial reports seem like we shouldn't really be missing a bunch of James Conner. Well, now he's on IR. So I feel like DeMarcado becomes one of the higher priority pickups this week. And, I just want to give you a little bit of what he did this week, because he had 10 carries for 45 yards and a touchdown, and then he had 1 catch for 12 yards as well. So my question to you, War, is going at least for the next 4 weeks, because James Conner is on IR for at least 4 weeks. And keep in mind, Keontae Ingram, a guy that I've, kind of brought his name up in the past. You've brought his name up in the past. He has been battling a neck injury over the last couple of weeks, and he's been inactive with a neck injury. So that's why DeMarcado has been playing. What is your opinion on this backfield moving forward? Do you think it's DeMarcado for 4 weeks? Do you think Ingram comes in and gets involved, now that he kind of has a reason to get healthy? And if not, what do you think DeMarcado is going to be over the next 4 weeks? Is it a running back 2, a running back 1, a flex play? What does the outlook look like for DeMarcado?
I think the outlook for DeMarcado is to have numbers comparable to Dameon Pierce. I think those are the type of numbers we're going to have. We're going to have just me watching him, in the game. Seems like the type of guy that'll get 15 carries and then, maybe 40 yards, but fall into the end zone, or maybe get like a couple catches here or there. Keontae Ingram, I'm definitely not going to wait for that guy. I don't trust players with neck injuries. The Chris Carson rule. I don't trust players. Once you say you got a neck, you're dead to me until you're alive. So that's kind of how I look at it. This is a prime opportunity for DeMarcado, because James Conner is one of those guys, older running back, where if you perform well enough, you can knock him off of his spot. And this is the NFL. You never know what happens.
Undrafted rookie. It's funny because DeMarcado's an undrafted rookie, but James Conner was a rookie that ended up taking the job of the vet Le'Veon Bell in injury. Has, history repeated itself?
it's possible if DeMarcado. So this week we're gonna get to see DeMarcado with like a week of practice, knowing that he's going to be the starting running back. And if DeMarcado goes out there, he's putting up monster numbers, then DeMarcado is probably going to be started. Even when James Conner was signed to the Cardinals, I think I'm trying to remember correctly. I believe there's other players in that backfield, and we kind of were just like, okay, well, James Conner, he's just going to be like, the guy that spells the other guy. I think it could have been Chase Edmonds or somebody. We had no clue that James Conner was going to become like the running back for the Arizona Cardinals. So we'll see how that goes. But this is a huge opportunity for DeMarcado. And on the flip side, I thought that we were going to see more huge opportunities for Michael Wilson, because now I'm completely torn on Michael Wilson, what to do with Michael Wilson. Yeah, man, it's kind of tough.
Yeah, it is tough. But yeah, man, I want to talk a little bit about Jamar Chase, because there was a clip circling around the media earlier this week, and I'm going to play the clip in full context, because there's a good chance that you guys have only seen the last 3 seconds of the clip, because it was a pretty good soundbite. But I'm going to pull this up on the screen. War, I want to hear your thoughts on this clip after we hear it, and let me put the overlay here. So here's the clip for you.
Probably my first time seeing him through this injury like this, besides that knee. But being on the team with him was the first time like that. So he just going through a little adversity. He's gonna be back in no time. So
the team
keep fighting.
The teams just said they were just gonna blitz. It didn't seem like they were respecting anything. They were just gonna blitz.
They did a little double hole and did a little blitzes on second and third down. Definitely sending blitzes on second and third. We did the whole game actually. We didn't capitalize on those blitzes when they did them. And on our end, I guess the receivers didn't make enough plays.
In 4 games this season, do you feel like you've had less time to get open and create space for yourself?
Nah, I'm open. I'm always fucking open. Excuse my profanity. I'm sorry.
So, at the end of last week's game, he says, I'm open. I'm always open. I'm always bleeping open. And this week he goes out and puts up 15 catches for whatever he put up and 3 touchdowns. So I think he's open, man.
Yeah, and if T. Higgins back next week, it's going to be his turn. It's going to be his turn. The media, they only played the end of that clip. And the end of that clip, it'll be easy to draw conclusions like, oh, okay, he's kind of throwing subtle shots at Joe Burrow. But when you hear the clip in its entirety, he actually had a lot to say. So, yeah, Joe Burrow, he's going to be back to his regular self, which more on that in a second. Lo and behold, that's what happened. Joe Burrow was back to his regular self, and Jamar Chase was back to his regular self. So I'm hoping, I heard this earlier, but it was in regards to Fields, because obviously I'm always going to have Fields on the breath, whether, here or there. But they say that once a quarterback gets confident, then that's it. Once that confidence comes, and I think Joe Burrow was starting to suffer a little, which was rare we're talking about Joe Burrow here.
Yeah.
He even had a little small lapse of confidence. I haven't seen fans making fun of him showing up at the arena, and I seen some fan leave a comment under the picture saying, yeah, he doesn't even have the Joe Burrow aura anymore. And he went out. Bet you now they're seeing the aura. And people are going to say, oh, well, it's the Cardinals. Let me tell you something. I'm sick of hearing that excuse. I'm sick of hearing that excuse.
It's a get right.
Yeah, I'm sick of hearing that excuse. That's the same thing they said about the Bears. Oh, yeah, Fields put up those numbers against the Broncos and put in the Commanders. It's almost like fans forget the teams they're playing before they do it. The Commanders have an elite level defensive line, and they still got sunned. And Fields did that last year. Joe Burrow, we can see that he's laboring because of his calf. Who cares if he played the Cardinals? I said this the other day, and I think I said it during the last episode, Let's Talk Dynasty. Or I said it somewhere. I said, I used the NBA term. Some players just need to see the ball go through the hoop one time. And then that's it. And I think Joe Burrow's back. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I expect this performance or this level of performance from Joe Burrow going forward. I don't expect any more sub 10-point games for him. And that's just where I am on it.
Yeah, you see Griffin here. He says, let's just hope that calf stays healthy. Once a calf is strained, likelihood of re-injury is high from a man currently on crutches with a third calf injury. So, Griffin, get better soon, man.
Yeah, man. Get better, Griff. I hear you, Griff. But did you see Joe Burrow hop and skip over that defender that was coming after him? He jumped right over him, and I said that calf looked good right there. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see how it turned out, but I think until somebody directly hit that calf, I think he's gonna be good.
I agree. Well, let's get over to the next game here, War. This one is going to be the Eagles at the Rams, and in this one, the Eagles win 23-14. We expected a little bit more fireworks than we got, but when you look at the game leaders in this one, Jalen Hurts, 300 yards, a touchdown, and interception, 72 yards on the ground, though, 15 carries for 72 yards for Jalen Hurts on the ground with 1 touchdown. And then he got his boy A.J. Brown some more touches, 6 receptions for 127 yards. Other side of the football, Matt Stafford, 222 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kyron Williams, 13 carries, 53 yards. And the return of the Mac, Cooper Kupp had 8 receptions for 118 yards. He looked just fine in this one. And it didn't hurt Puka Nacua because Puka Nacua still went out there and he actually led the team in fantasy football points, 7 catches, 71 yards, and a touchdown. So what's your thoughts here on this one? Really the return of Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, all this stuff. And then we can talk Eagles, I guess.
I think Puka Nacua is going to have some regression to the mean with Cooper Kupp back. I think Cooper Kupp is going to play like Cooper Kupp, so to speak. Matt Stafford, I think he's definitely a guy that I would be trying to get put on my team at this point now that Kupp is back. That's just kind of where I am. I think the big question mark with the Rams is what's going to happen with these wide receivers. And I think right now they're still both startable. I do expect, though, a little step back from Puka once Cooper Kupp gets into the full swing of thing, which kind of already seemed like he was in the full swing of things. Yeah. That's a testament to Cooper Kupp that I think he's going to go even higher than what we see the other day. But, yeah, that's where I am with that.
Yeah, and really – I think I agree with most of what you say, other than I think Puka might just be Puka at this point, man. And I don't think he's going to finish like the wide receiver 1 most weeks anymore like he was doing. But Puka Nacua, I think there's a role. We've seen it before, right, where like Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods played next to each other, and both of them were, low-end wide receiver 1s, high-end wide receiver 2s. Like, I think we can see that happen with Puka and Cooper Kupp here. In fact, Puka's a start of the week for me. This week, I think he's going to be a top 10 play. I still think Puka can be a top 10 play this week, even though Kupp is back. And yeah, that's really my take on that. But when you look at the other side of the football, War, Jalen Hurts, he hasn't had one of those like big passing days so far this year. But this one was like one of his best performances on the ground. And no matter what, the Eagles are 5-0 right now. Are they one of the best teams in football? Are they the second best? Are they the best? I think the only ones I can think of is the Eagles and probably the Niners right now as the 2 best teams in football.
I'm going 49ers over the Eagles, to be honest.
I am too.
The Eagles, they have players that are really likable, but I think as a whole, they're a very unlikable team. And I'm going to blame it on, honestly, the brotherly shove. I'm honestly going to blame it on that. Like, I'm tired of seeing it. I'm tired of hearing about it.
Do you think it needs to be banned?
No, I don't. I think that some defensive coach needs to be smart enough to develop a countermeasure to the brotherly shove. Like, how come we've never seen anybody getting the same formation as the brotherly shove and just go power versus power and push them backwards? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but is it just because you could audible into a passing play at that point and then you'd be in a bad position in defense?
Man, you got to do something. You got to do something because you can't keep letting these dudes just overpower you and push you.
It looks unstoppable.
You know what's crazy? And you know what's crazy? People are like, oh, yeah, it should be bad. Well, I don't know, because the Eagles wouldn't even be able to do that if they didn't have the quarterback they have and didn't have the best offensive line in football. If
Yeah,
they,
I mean, the reason why that works is, one, Jason Kelsey. Like, Jason Kelsey is a very big reason why that works. And then the second is Jalen Hurts.
yeah, I heard he squats like 1 billion pounds.
Dude, he squats more than some of these linemen. Like, there's a video of him from college. I'm gonna try and find it while you're talking, but I'm gonna try and find it. But he's squatting like some crazy amount.
Yeah. Like Griffin just said, like, they executed better than everyone else. And I've seen other teams try to execute the brotherly shove. I think the Bears even did it, and they like barely got the first down. I've seen teams fail at trying to do it. So, I mean, to think that teams could just all start doing it, I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how any team don't get a first down when they do like a quarterback sneak or something like that, but that's just me. Jalen Hurts is a very scary player to play against in fantasy football.
This is so loud. Did you hear that? Was that in your headphones?
Oh yeah, it blasted me for sure.
My bad, bro. Let me lower the audio on this one because there's a bunch of dudes screaming in a weight room. But 600 pounds. Jalen Hurts squats 600 pounds. And this was, I don't know, he might be able to squat more now because this was him as a freshman at Bama. Look at this thing, dude. That's why it works.
Him scream like that dude never seems like to have emotions. So him screaming is just funny to me.
That's why it works, man. That's why it works.
Oh man.
But what else is there to say about it? I don't really know if there's much more to say about it, but the Eagles look good. They win this one. Jalen Hurts can squat more than some of your guys' offensive linemen. I don't know, bro. I don't know what else to say.
That dude can squat the Big Show.
Yeah. Sorry, I headphone blasted you. Griffin says with ease. He did 600 with ease. So, yeah, it was pretty easy for him. And I'm sure he can do it now because, like I said, he was a freshman. So he's probably, 18, 19 years old at Bama?
Sheesh.
So, yeah.
Now he has NFL level, like, weight training.
Yeah. Yeah. But let's get over to the next one because it was put in the chat earlier that the Broncos were going to have to start looking at a rebuild. But here's the game. The Broncos and the Jets beat them in this one, and I called an upset in this one. I told people earlier in the week that I liked the Jets to win this matchup. Hopefully you listened to me. Hopefully you took some free money from some of these apps that are out there. But other than that, man, Zach Wilson, 199 yards. Didn't throw a touchdown, though, but they scored 31 points. Brees Hall had 177 yards and a touchdown. Tyler Conklin, the leading wide receiver, was 67 yards. And on the other side of the football, no Javonte Williams in this one. He was injured. But we had Russell Wilson with 196 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jaleel McLaughlin with 9 carries for 66 yards. And the leading wide receiver for the Broncos, Samaje Perine, 6 receptions for 73 yards. So what do you take of this, man? What do you take of these Broncos? 1-4.
You know, they're kind of trash. They're kind of trash, man. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I think it's weird, man. I hate to keep bringing the Bears into it. They won that game, but okay, because you got to look at it from the perspective. Listen, this isn't necessarily a Bears comment. I'm doing it in the context of bad teams, okay? So when the Broncos and the Bears played, they both were winless, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Broncos were able to get their first win, right, against the Bears, but then the Bears got their first win. But doesn't it feel like there's a higher level of optimism around the Bears right now than the Broncos? Even though they beat the Bears, that's just weird to me. And I think a lot of it it goes pretty deep. I think a lot of it is Sean Payton's arrogance before the season talking about the Jets. I think it's that a lot of a lot of things about how Russ is as a teammate is making the rounds. Then on top of that, you have the way they performed last season and the way that they're performing this season. And it just seems like it's just a big cluster, you know what, over there in Denver. And what do I think about these Broncos? I think they have pieces that are performing, but all underperforming in a way. The only player that I feel like is exceeding expectations and excelling on that team, because we can't say, okay, yeah, Russ is doing good or Judy, because we expected those players to take a leap forward this season, right? Under Sean Payton. The only player that you can really look at and be like, man, that kid is doing good is Jamil McLaughlin. You know, so, and we still have to see how that's going to turn out once Javonte gets back. So
yeah, I think he's earned a role though. Like, I think he's earned a role at least somewhat, even when Javonte comes healthy.
I think if he does have a role, it's going to come at the expense of P. Ryan.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I think Pirine just looks like your average backup right now.
Yeah.
But to quote Prime, Coach Prime, Sean Payton talked a bunch of bull junk this offseason to be out here 1-4. You talked a lot of mess out here to be 1-4. And specifically, you talked a lot of mess to the Jets and about Nathaniel Hackett and all these other dudes, and they came into your house and put it on you. So I don't know. You kind of got to take that one on the chin, Sean Payton. First of all, I got to let's fully, make this transparent. I hate Sean Payton. That dude had the bounty gate against my Minnesota Vikings. I can't stand that guy. Cannot stand that man. But you talked a bunch of bull junk, and now you out here looking stupid, Sean Payton. And my question is, how much longer, if they go out here and they, win 4 games this year or whatever, does Sean Payton have a health concern again that makes him step away from football?
Yeah.
Coward.
I was just going to ask you.
Coward.
I definitely. You could, even if, okay, Bill, I don't even think Bill Belichick would stick around if he was in a similar situation.
It's just a bum, man. And sorry, I told you, I hate Sean Payton, but freaking bum.
So you don't blame that on what's the guy, the defensive coordinator from that time period? Man, his name is lost. His name is lost.
Griffin and his golf swing is trash. Yeah, and your golf swing trash, bro. Get your golf swing right, man. Hold on.
Oh, you brought up golf.
Get your golf swing right, man. Get your golf swing right. I need you to get it right, bro.
You just said the magic word. The magic word of the day, kids, is
right. Caleb in here. Caleb just missed it, man. He said going strong, we back. So I guess he just tuned back in. He missed it, man. I accidentally hit the roof. My upstairs neighbors are probably pissed. But yeah, your golf swing trash, Sean Payton. Your football team trash. Get out the league, man. I'm sick of you, bro. Anyways, what were we talking about?
We were talking about the ineptitude of the Denver Broncos.
Okay, yeah. I mean, is there much more to say other than like they got to get it together quickly?
Nope. And the Jets. I mean, there's part of me, man. I'm not gonna lie. There's part of me that wants the Jets to hold on as much as possible, as long as they can, to see if there's even a snowballing chance as hell for Aaron Rodgers to come back. I would love to see that. I would love to see Judy a Jag. Ooh.
He's like, I don't know, man. Is he a Jag?
I mean, I don't know, man, because he was almost considered a Jag last season because he was getting traded for like pennies on a dollar last season. I think people thought, okay, he was going to have a career revival.
Oh, man, dude, it's so tough because I feel like he shows you enough flashes that you're like, okay, I feel confident about the upside of this player.
And
but then he goes out and he does all this in his age and all that stuff, and it's like, maybe, I don't know, man. I feel like Jerry Judy's such a tough – and let's play the game where we always do the game, right? Let's play the game. Let's look at some value adjacent players in dynasty leagues, and you tell me who you would take. Because right now, where Judy is being valued, I'll start a little bit above where he's being valued, and then I'll go a little bit below him, and you tell me what you're thinking. Amari Cooper. Quentin Johnston.
That's tough. It's probably closer to equal, but I probably would take Quentin Johnson just because he's a baby breath rookie.
Mike Evans?
No. He's balling too good this season.
Romeo Doubs.
Yeah, I'd take him over Romeo Doubs.
Gabe Davis?
Now those two, now we're on the Spider-Man meme territory now.
They all looking at each other?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see. Caleb says his last year, weeks 11 through 17 last season, was a wide receiver 6 in points per game. And see, that's what I'm talking about, though, is he puts up those flashes where you're like, man, this guy's going to be really good. And then he goes out and he puts up 10 weeks where he's like the most mid wide receiver ever.
I still believe in the talent. But those guys, I put him over. Here's the thing. Who did I give him? Gave him Coop, Quentin Johnson, Mike Evans, right? In redraft, I'm not taking Judy over Amari Cooper because I want to win. I'm not taking Judy over Mike Evans in redraft because I want to win. And I'm not taking Judy over Quentin Johnson in Dynasty right now because the quarterback that plays for the Chargers is 1,000 times better than the quarterback that plays for the Broncos. So
yeah, I agree.
That's my logic on that.
Fair enough. And I see you guys all in the chat with the trade questions, the waiver questions, the start sit questions. We answer all of those questions throughout the stream. We answer them all at the very end. So hopefully you guys stick around. We'll answer all of those for you at the very end. So keep them coming in. We'd love to answer them for you. If they're urgent, you know what to do. Pin tweet in that or a pinned chat in that for you. So anyways, War, I want to talk a little bit about Breece Hall as we slowly and quickly try and get off of this game here because we've been on this game too long. But Breece Hall, what do you think, man? He looked good. I mean, they took him off the snap count and he looked good, but it is the Broncos.
He a dog. Dalvin is
he washed?
He's washed. He's washed.
Hey,
I gotta try to keep myself centered. Yeah, so we'll just say he's washed.
If there's one thing the Vikings were right on, they got out of that contract.
Yeah. And I mean, look, we got to give a couple teams credit. We got to give the Dolphins credit too for just saying, no thanks. We got to give them that.
No thanks.
They would have never been able to discover Achane. So,
yeah, agreed. Well, let's get over to the last game and not the last game. We have 3 more games on this docket, but this game, this is the one you said to save because it is the Chiefs at the Vikings. The Chiefs, they end up winning this one 27-20. And honestly, man.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Go ahead and go ahead. The floor is yours. Solo shot. Go ahead.
I mean, look, man, this thing
Your
hurt.
Your turn to talk about these Vikings. Go ahead, man.
Yeah. It hurt though, because as I'm I'm watching this game and it's like every chance I feel like they kept giving us hope. And if you guys were on Twitter around this time, people were talking about NFL's rigged. They trying to let the Kansas City Chiefs win the game in this one. Like there's memes of like the Kansas City or the refs in Kansas City Chiefs colors. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff. And I'll show you a couple things as we talk about it because it's bad, man. I don't know, man. I think as I'm looking at this team, and I say this team is 1-4 as I speak. And I thought this is a team that should go out and win the division. Like that's what I thought should happen. Doesn't look like that's going to happen anymore. We're playing from behind too much. I'm at the point where I don't even feel confident that we can beat you guys this week, War. And I always feel like we can beat the Bears. And I don't even know if I feel like we can do it this week. So it's tough. When I go and look at this team, bro, it's like, I'm just starting to lose hope. I looked at myself in the mirror, man. I really sat there and I was like, I've been a Kirk apologist, Warrior. You can attest to this. I've been a Kirk Cousins apologist for years. And I still, as I'm saying this team's current record is not Kirk Cousins' fault. It is not his fault right now. Kirk Cousins is playing really good, but it's just we are at a point where it's like we have nothing left to improve at that quarterback position. This is the best it can be, and it's not enough to go win a Super Bowl. And so if you want to be a Vikings fan and you want to go win a Super Bowl, that's the goal, right? Like that's what they hired O'Connell to do. O'Connell went and won a Super Bowl in LA. Kwesi, he's here to try and put together a Super Bowl roster. Kirk Cousins cannot do it anymore. Our defense is dog water. It is so bad. We have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. Brian Flores schemes up some really good defenses, but the personnel out there is terrible. Asamoah has been a disappointment. Andrew Booth, disappointment. Lewis Cine, not even playing on the football field, been a disappointment. All of these guys we drafted in the first, second, and third round of the NFL draft last year. None of those guys hit. Kwesi's first draft, not looking too good. His second draft so far looks pretty decent. But and then to put the icing on the cake, Justin Jefferson gets the hamstring injury. Now he's on IR. So what does the outlook of this football team look like? I don't know. I mean, as I'm looking at my Twitter tweet that I threw out, and I should say X. As I'm looking over on X, I put a tweet out the other day. It's funny because they still call them tweets, I think, on X. It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
But I'm looking at what I posted, and I said, this is like 2 a.m, and I'm tweeting to myself. I'm just laying in bed. I'm thinking. It's pitch black in the room. I'm like, the Minnesota Vikings are really about to, like, I just have this gut feeling, and I think this is from so many years of Vikings fandom that I just know that this is the way that it's going to go. But we're at a position now where it's like, okay, it doesn't look like it's our year. You could trade Kirk to a team that needs a quarterback, go get a little decent haul for Kirk Cousins, kind of blow this thing up temporarily, grab one of the top quarterbacks in the class in 2024, and then come back out and you have Caleb or Drake May, and then you have Justin Jefferson, Addison, TJ, and you can have a whole bunch of money now opened up that you can spend on the defense, and we can really turn this into a competitive team right away. But no, I think my Minnesota Vikings, I think they're going to finish this year probably like 8-9. They'll go on a win streak. They'll finish like 8-9. We'll miss the playoffs just barely, but enough that it'll give you hopes that we're going to make the playoffs. And then like week 17 or 18, we'll lose to the Detroit Lions, and that will make them win and go into the playoffs. And just like that, it'll be a lost season, poor draft pick, stuck with Kirk Cousins again to do the same thing next year, and no playoffs. And it's just going to be a pain in the what again as a Vikings fan. It's just I feel like I'm getting tortured right now watching this because every week I'm like, we should win this game. They give us hope to where it looks like we can win the game. And it's not like we're getting blown out, bro. Like every game we have played, we've lost by like 1 score, which is funny because last year we won every game by 1 score, but now we're losing every game by 1 score. So it's just a pain. I don't know, man. I feel so gutted. I don't even know how to think because I know this is a good football team, but the record is horrible.
It's crazy that this summer we both were in line. We were both in line with our thinking on the Vikings. We thought that the odds makers were being unfair to the Vikings and that, they were saying the Vikings weren't going to be that good. And we said, there's no way that the Vikings are just going to fall on the opposite side this time of all the close games they fell on the right side of last season. And that's literally exactly what's happening. I'll tell you this about their matchup this week. And this ain't just me being a Bears fan. I don't think you guys are going to beat us. And I'm going to tell you why. I think
for the record, DJ Moore is a start of the week for me at the wide receiver position this week.
Yeah, I think too much has happened between you guys' game this week and when you guys play us that it's almost like I feel like the Bears are feeling euphoric right now. They're on the upswing. They're like our quarterback's back to being our quarterback. And I feel like the Vikings are, oh, man, we just lost JJ. What are we going to do? Because, like, blow for blow, you guys should still smoke us. I just think confidence in the NFL and momentum is like a really big thing. And I think between the fact that Justin scored 8 touchdowns and 1 interception, like over the course of 2 games, I think that's carrying momentum. I think somebody even said in the chat that they're gonna have Justin Fields is gonna finish up there week 6 too.
Yeah,
And
that was sleazeball.
Sleazeball, I believe it.
Yeah,
I just think that's what momentum's saying.
I want to show you this because this is the play that I'm talking about, and hopefully we don't get copyrighted. I know sometimes they copyright us because of the scoreboards showing, but I'm going to show it anyways. I don't really care. Hold on, what is going on here? There we go. But I told you it was like the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Kansas City refs versus the freaking Minnesota Vikings. And just to give you some context here, 4th and 12, game on the line. Let's just talk about. Let's just play the clip, man. 3 penalties in this clip that you're going to watch here. No flags, not one thrown for any of the 3 penalties. So here you go. That flag is down.
It's funny. I remember seeing this and I like walked away when I seen this because I was like, oh man, they're about to be on the goal line. And then I came back and then Scott Hansen or somebody was like, oh yeah, the Kevin O'Connell's going to plead for it, but he's not going to get it. And Patrick Mahomes is saying, I forgot, he was saying that the ball got tipped so it can't be pass interference or something like that, right?
Yeah, so just to give you the context here, man. Hands to the face, confirmed on replay. Hands to the face. Can't do that. That should be a flag. Defensive pass interference in the end zone on Jordan Addison on L'Jarius Sneed. Obviously can't do that. That's why the flag came out in the first place. They ended up picking it back up. And then he takes his helmet off and goes and talks to the ref. You cannot take your helmet off on the football field. That is a flag. 3 flags should have been thrown. No penalties come down. If the flag is thrown, 4 minutes left in the game, the Minnesota Vikings get the football on the 1-yard line to make it 27-27. We have a ball game. Nope, we're going to pick that flag up. Turnover on downs.
Let me tell you, welcome to every single game where the Bears play the Packers.
Just frustrating, bro. So frustrating.
And
it's not a good look for the NFL, and I'm saying this as a passionate Vikings fan, guys, but it's not a good look for the NFL because we are now like 3 weeks where the NFL has there was like all those Juwan Taylor holding or it wasn't holding, it was the early snap things that weren't being called, and okay, whatever, we don't care about it. We'll look at it next week. So the Kansas City Chiefs get away with that one. Then the next time it was like another penalty or whatever. And then they're talking about how like the NFL is saying that they're, winning games because it's good for Taylor Swift to keep coming to the games. They make a lot of money with Taylor Swift there. So it's good if the Chiefs keep winning games and yada, yada, yada. And then this one where it's like they're picking up flags when it's like a game-changing penalty, multiple penalties, and it's a game-changing. They're picking up flags. It's all BS, man. And I love Patrick Mahomes. But the product that the NFL is putting out right now, as far as their referee and their officiating is going, it doesn't look good. And it's not just this game. It's not, because it's just the Minnesota Vikings, but there've been multiple games this season where the officiating has been horrendous. And is there a fix to this war? Like, or what what happens here? Like it's not just me, like Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. I don't give a damn. They like people out there are sick of the NFL because it's like every week there's these big controversial like calls, and we shouldn't be doing that at the professional level as an official.
Yeah, no, really, in my opinion, it's been like that for years, and there's nothing that could be done about it, really. Especially not to where to satisfy the fan base. Maybe, New York could call up the referees, call them into their office, give them a slap on the wrist, but it'll never be something that we'll see happen. And I think another thing too that we got to talk about briefly is all of this controversy, all this thing with the refs, definitely bearing the fact that Patrick Mahomes is not playing like Patrick Mahomes this season.
No, and they keep getting bailed out of games.
And they keep getting bailed out of games. So we'll see. Because I tell you this right now, they can have the refs, they can have Taylor Swift, they can have whoever they want. That's not going to save them if they got to play San Francisco.
Yeah. And you see Wonka in here. He says, I just lost to Justin Jefferson for my team for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Sorry to break that news to you, Wonka, but yeah, he's on IR, man. He's not going to play for 4 weeks.
Yeah, man. I know your pain. Trust me.
I'm sorry, bro. And then Griffin, he says, does Getsy get credit? And actually, before we answer this, I want to talk about this one because we were just talking about it. He says, just bring in the NBA to help clean it up, the officiating. Wait a minute. So I thought that was funny. But he says, does Getsy get credit for making adjustments and not forcing his system on Fields? Or does Fields get credit for taking his play up a notch?
Fields get credit for taking his play up a notch.
Fair enough.
I'll tell you, if you watched our last 2 videos, I was ready to grab Getsy by his neck and drag him down the street.
Yeah. The only other thing that I want to bring up in this game, War, and we've talked about it a long time. You said we should, move on to the next one. But Travis Kelce got hurt again in this game. He had a low ankle sprain is what it sounds like. He went and got it taped up. He came back in. He played. He scored a touchdown, yada, yada. But, we've now had a knee hyperextension and a low ankle sprain for Travis Kelce. So are you worried about this, or is it all just kind of ticky-tack minor injuries that you're not really too worried about?
I don't know. I apply the LeBron rule to Travis Kelce. Like, until I see you in street clothes, you healthy.
That guy's different.
Back. Yeah, he's just different. Same thing as Aaron Rodgers. Like, if he said he might come back and play, which would be crazy because this is Achilles.
Yeah.
If he comes back and plays, then it wouldn't shock me because I've seen that dude get knocked senseless out of a game versus us and then come back in the fourth quarter and beat us. So,
yeah. Anyways, let's move on to this next game here. And the next game, we're now to Sunday Night Football. So we're back on the last 2 games here. And this is the Dallas Cowboys, 10 points at the 49ers, 42 points. The 49ers put it on them, man. Brock Purdy looked fantastic, 252 yards and 4 touchdowns. Jordan Mason, the leading rusher, somehow in this one because is that right? I feel like that shouldn't be right. Yeah, he was the leading rusher, but Christian McCaffrey still had like 80 yards. A touchdown for CMC. You go look at really the story of the day was the George Kittle emergence. 3 catches, 3 touchdowns. Every catch that he had was for a touchdown that night. Pissed
off the Cowboys.
Pissed off the Cowboys, and he finished as our performance of the week at the tight end position. 27.7 points here in week 5. So welcome to the party, George Kittle. Good to see you at the top of the tight end board. But when you go look at the other side of the football war, Dak Prescott, 150 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Tony Pollard, 29 rushing yards, and CeeDee Lamb, 49 receiving yards. So a lot of people thought this Cowboys team was really good. Do you think they are still a good football team, or do you think the 49ers are just that good of a football team?
I think the 49ers are just that good, and I think that Dallas might have a quarterback problem. We ain't gonna spend no time talking about the Cowboys. I mean, they'll deserve to be talked about this week with the beating that they took.
Are you nervous, though, about Tony Pollard? Because I look at what Tony Pollard has done so far this year. We talked about Tony Pollard. In fact, there was a show. I was looking at some of our old shows. You said Tony Pollard had a chance to really impress this year. You had him as an impress candidate. And so far, he's been pretty 1 top 5 finish, and everything else has been outside of the top 15.
We said 2 things this summer. One of them was that Tony Pollard could be an impress candidate, and the other thing is Tony Pollard is being drafted way too high. Remember we were saying that?
True.
He's been drafted way too high, so that's kind of coming to fruition. I'm not worried about Tony Pollard or Dak Prescott or CeeDee Lamb for the entirety of the season, but right now, they're not living up to where they're supposed to be. The 49ers, I want to pull out one of my receipts.
Go for it.
Because I was watching Dynasty Darlings earlier. Remember that episode?
Yep.
And you told me, you said, Warren, you're going to catch a lot of flack for this one. And then you pulled up. Remember, that was the episode that I recorded while I was at work. You
Yeah.
said, Warren, you're going to catch some flack with this one. And I think looking back on it, I don't deserve any flack.
Because just to give some context, the Dynasty Darlings was players that you loved coming into the season that maybe other people didn't love as much.
Yeah. And we were hot off the trails of a heated debate that we had amongst our own group about how Brock Purdy was going to be trash and this and that. And, I have to say, if you were Team Purdy and you believed in Brock Purdy, then congratulations, because Brock Purdy is indeed a MVP candidate. And that's undisputed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to pull up right now. I'll pull up the MVP odds because I do want to say that I think I heard that earlier that he might be the number one. He might have the number one odds. So I'm pulling it up over right now on DraftKings Sportsbook. NFL Futures Awards. When we look at MVP candidates, that's BS. Patrick Mahomes is number one right now at 450. Tua at plus 475. He's the number two. And then Brock Purdy is number three at plus 650. He has higher MVP odds than Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts right now.
He's a true MVP candidate. His team's going to win a ton of games. Definitely more games than the Bills. So,
yeah. Griffin says somebody needs to ask Kyle to stop riding CMC like it's Madden. Dude will not hold up with 54 carries a game. Relax, Kyle, please. What do you think, War?
I mean, I think the options behind CMC are all injury prone.
It's been good for fantasy football, and hey, whatever.
Yeah, it has.
That's what we want.
What the hell is what's our guy named? Tyrion Davis
Price.
Yeah, like come on.
Where's Elijah Mitchell's been hurt the whole season pretty much too.
He's I disregarded him because he's never there. So
fair enough. And then I do want to ask you one more thing, War, because the leading wide receiver in this one was Brandon Ayuk. He had 4 catches for 58 yards. Debo outpaced him in total yardage. There was a holding call that really was good for my fantasy football day that ended up coming back. It was like 50-yard catch for Ayuk. But is Ayuk the wide receiver one there in San Francisco? Is he the number one?
I think some weeks he will be, some weeks he won't.
So you think it's just 1A, 1B?
Yeah, I think it's just the nature of Kyle Shanahan. I don't think outside of CMC, I think the offensive identity is mainly CMC and Kittle, and then I think you have a couple of wide receivers that are going to take turns being the guy.
Fair enough. Well, that summarizes Sunday Night Football, I think, for the most part. I don't think there's anything else really left to say about it. But there was one more game on the docket here, and it's going to be Monday Night Football. I said the other day that it was a snooze fest. Pretty boring game, if you ask me. But it was Packers at Raiders, 13-17 in this one. Pretty much some of the worst quarterback play we've seen all week. 3 interceptions from Jordan Love, 0 touchdowns from Jordan Love, 1 touchdown from Jimmy Garoppolo, 1 interception from Jimmy Garoppolo. And it was really A.J. Dillon and Josh Jacobs just going for about 2.8 yards a carry each time. Then they'd kick it to the next team. He'd do the same thing for about 4 or 5 downs. Then they'd kick it to the next one. It was a bad game, man. But, hey, Jacoby Myers scored in this one. Devontae Adams does not get his revenge game because he was held pretty much clamped up by Jair Alexander most of the night. 4 catches for 45 yards. And then we did get to see some rookies in here. Oh, Aaron Jones didn't play in this one. He was a late miss. But we did get to see some rookies. Michael Mayer decided to show up, man. And it wasn't a lot, but he had 2 catches for 39 yards. And then Luke Musgrave, he had 6 catches for 34 yards. So Michael Mayer did everything that Musgrave did on a third of the catches. But what are your takeaways from this game, Warriors? I mean, what are we talking about here?
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie to you. Um, I don't have any takeaways from this game besides the pure joy and adulation of Jordan Love being trash.
So that's a question, and I know you have some conflicted interest in this take potentially, but I wanted to ask the question because what do we think of Jordan Love up to this point in his career? We've have now 5 starts. He's 2-3. We've had like 6 interceptions in the last 3 games. Is he a good quarterback or is he just mid? Or is he
mid.
bad?
I'm gonna give him mid now. Out of respect, I'm gonna give him mid, but he could be bad. And I mean, this is pretty much going the same way I said it was gonna go. We had the one guy in the chat few videos ago. It was like, oh yeah, Jordan Love, but it's easy to look like you're the next coming to Aaron Rodgers when you play the Bears and you play the Falcons, and now you're starting to play. And I can't even. And here's the crazy thing: can't really even classify the Raiders as
a good team,
a tough team, a good team, and you look like complete dog, you know what, against them. So,
well, even against the Falcons, he was the QB 16 on the week. So it's not even like he was that good. It's really that week 1 performance at Chicago where he was the QB 3. That was really what's holding him down. But like I said, over the last 3 weeks, he now has 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. So pretty much throwing 2 picks for every touchdown that he's throwing right now. It's just not looking good. And I get that they haven't had Aaron Jones and the offensive line's a little bit banged up. No Bakhtiari. I think no Elton Jenkins, but you got to find a way, man. And you're getting games against teams that, like you said, aren't good teams really. The Las Vegas Raiders, the New Orleans Saints. I wouldn't say the Saints have been very good so far this year. And I don't know, you're just not winning these games, but we'll see what happens, man. Funny thing is, the whole NFC North, for the most part, is still up in the air. I think the only team that's shown that they're a good football team so far has been the Lions.
Yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. That's all they wrote.
But anyways, that's all I have as takeaways from this game. Good to see a little something out of Michael Mayer after we haven't seen much for the first couple weeks. So little optimism there with Michael Mayer.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as we do on every show, we talk about the rookie report, the top 10 rookies on the week, who's been scoring the most. And it's another repeat offender over here. Devon A-Chain, 21.5 points, the number 1 score on the week. But hey, Bryce Young, number 2, 20.3 points. Puka Nacua, Sam Laporta, Jordan Addison, Jaleel McLaughlin, Tajay Spears, Josh Downs, CJ Stroud, and Rashee Rice to round out your top 10 rookies of the week. War, anything stand out here for you?
Nope.
Nothing surprising?
I mean, Bryce is up there for once. I mean, everybody else is pretty much
McLaughlin?
It's pretty much the same. Yeah, we'll see.
Okay. Rashee Rice, he's looking a little bit better now.
He is looking a little bit better, but we'll see.
So we'll see, though. And Griffin, he's out here defending Jordan Love, and that's okay. You can defend Jordan Love. He says his receivers aren't helping him, though. Reed has dropped a few in the end zone. Watson looks meh, etc. And then he says, where's JSN? And that's the question. We haven't seen JSN on this rookie report all year. He hasn't been scoring fantasy football points. Should we be concerned about JSN, or are we not worried?
No, because I think that people are forgetting that it's uncommon for wide receivers to pop in their first year. But we've been so used to the JJs, the Jamar Chases, the Chris Olaves. It's normal for a wide receiver not to be a stud in their first year. It usually takes these guys 3 years to develop. So, I mean, it's probably not going to take JSN that long. I mean, another problem is he's behind DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. So,
yeah, I'm not too worried. I'm not too worried about JSN. I think you're going to be really happy with JSN, I think, in 2024 and beyond. Let Lockett get a year older, get a little bit less of a dead cap hit, things like that. And I think you'll be happy with JSN. I'm not panicked on him. But he says, there's one more. He says, I'm not a fan of Love at all, but just saying he could use some help. Also, I have JSN on my roster, and he's been clogging up my bench. I think in redraft leagues, you can drop JSN, but in your dynasty leagues, we're not panicked on JSN. Redraft, though, I think you can drop him.
Right.
But we have all of these questions that we want to answer here in the chat, start sits, all these other things that we have, War. But before we do that, I want to take just a quick couple minutes to thank our sponsor over here at the League FFB, Underdog Fantasy. If you guys want to sign up for Underdog Fantasy, play Pick'ems, go play their best ball tournaments, really go do anything. There's a whole lot of stuff you can do on Underdog Fantasy. Go sign up using code LEAGUEFFB. They will give you a 100% deposit match. So if you deposit $100, which is what it's up to, if you deposit $100, they will match $100 free. So you can get $200 just by depositing that. If you also use code LEAGUEFFB, they will give you a free mystery pick'em, which is basically a free square on their plays. So it's going to be something like Justin Herbert, 1 passing yard. So it's basically a freebie. So go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. The link is going to be in the description of this video, or just use that code LEAGUEFFB. And I did cut up a little promo here, War, because if you signed up last week, you followed along with the plays, all the other stuff that we talked about earlier in the week, you would have turned that $10, that small little $10 deposit, into a $200 profit, because we went 100%. And I'll show you how we did that here this week. They currently have him projected 72.5 rushing yards and a half rushing touchdown. I like the higher on both of these projections, but I think that half rushing touchdown, going higher on that one, I think that one is easy money on Underdog Fantasy this week. And when we look at the projections over on Underdog Fantasy, what we're seeing right now is a projection of 91.5 rushing and receiving yards. I like the higher in this one, but you see there's a couple projections that they have here. I think Alvin Kamara is due for a big day, but I do like that higher on the 91.5 rushing and receiving. And lastly, when we go look at the projection over on Underdog Fantasy, they have him projected at 79.5 rushing and receiving yards and 59.5 rushing yards. I like the higher on the 59.5 rushing yards this week. I think he can still do that 79.5, but I think that they are going to use Brees on the ground, especially if they get up and the Jets win this matchup against the Denver Broncos. And when we look at his projections over on Underdog Fantasy, there is a lot that we can look at, but really the ones that I want to talk about are the 74.5 rushing yards and receiving yards. I think I like the lower in this one. Just over the last few weeks, he has failed to break 65 rushing and receiving yards in all of those. They currently have it at 75. This is a tough defense, like I said, and Ezekiel Elliott seems to be getting just a tiny bit more involved every single week. I look at the Underdog Fantasy projections for Miles Sanders. They have him projected at 40.5 rushing yards and 61.5 rushing and receiving yards. In this one, I like the lower on the 61.5 rushing and receiving yards. I think it's going to be a tall task to ask Miles Sanders to get that against this Detroit Lions defense. Now, if you guys would like to play Underdog Fantasy Pick'ems, go ahead and sign up using code LEAGUEFFB when you sign up. That will give you a 100% deposit match and a free mystery pick'em this week in week 5. And if you liked all 5 of our plays today, when you put those into a pick'em play, 5 out of 5 correct will be 20 times your entry, which could turn a mere $10 into a $200 profit for you guys in this week's matchup. So hopefully you guys followed along last week's. Hopefully you took the plays. Hopefully you used code LEAGUEFFB, because like I said, you could have turned $10 into $200, and we did. So if you haven't, don't miss out on the next one. Use that code. Go sign up for Underdog Fantasy and follow along with the plays on the videos all week long. War, we have a bunch of start sits and some other stuff going on in here. So want to answer all these questions. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay, first question here. Would you trade Kyron for Hollywood and Myers in a PPR league?
No.
I don't think I would either. I like Hollywood and I like Myers. I like both of them, but I think Kyron's more of a difference maker in your starting lineup right now.
Yeah.
Second question. Is this a good trade if I give Chris Olave and I get Devontae Smith? Yes. I like Devontae Smith's outlook more than I like Chris Olave's right now.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right. He says, Cohen says, Devontae Smith for Pittman and Miles Sanders. What side are you taking here?
I'm taking the Devontae side.
I am too. Vision says, should I trade Pickens and Watson for Olave?
No. I like George Pickens' upside, and I'll accept Christian Watson for what he is for right now.
I think this one I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. I think I like the upside of Olave more because I think his
It's a
ceiling
pretty
is higher.
close trade.
It's close though. It's really close.
Pretty close trade.
The Pickens and Watson side almost feels safer right now though, which is kind of weird. But I worry about Pickens' upside taking a hit when Deontay's back, and that could be very soon.
I don't think Deontay is going to be on that team too much longer.
Fair enough. James Cook for Zach Moss. I'm taking James Cook.
I'm taking James Cook.
Fletcher Cox is in here. So Eagles defensive tackle, thanks for tuning in. Says, should I trade DK for Puka?
Yeah.
I like Puka.
Yeah, I would. I traded deep. I'm doing that.
Fair enough. Ian says, I need opinions. I'm being offered JT and Aaron Jones for my Saquon. Should I accept?
JT and Aaron Jones for Saquon.
I'm taking JT and Aaron Jones side.
Taking JT and Aaron Jones.
I think they all have similar risk, but you get the extra player. And Aaron Jones is, when he's in the lineups, he's a low end running back one.
Yeah.
Caleb Young says, should I trade Jefferson and Josh Allen for Tua and Jamar Chase? He has the Tua side, is what he's saying. So he would get Jefferson and Allen.
Yeah, I'm taking that.
Yeah, me too. Should I trade for Garrett Wilson with the Kirk trade rumors? Are you buying into Kirk Wilson? Do you think Kirk Cousins is going to be a New York Jet? I don't think Kirk will be a New York Jet.
Depends what you're trading for Garrett Wilson for to get Garrett Wilson.
What do you think? Do you think Kirk's going to be a Jet this year?
I don't think the Vikings are doing anything.
I also think the Jets don't have a good enough record to go in this year. If they were going to make a move like that, they probably would have had to make it earlier because now the Dolphins and the Bills are, I would say they have too good of records that the Jets probably aren't catching them. My name is Jeff. He says, give Garrett Wilson for Fields, a 14-man, and he has A. Rich.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like doing that in a 14-man league. He has Anthony Richardson. He probably only has to, he didn't say it's a super flex, so he probably only has to play one quarterback.
I mean, Garrett Wilson, though.
He's not doing too much.
He's not doing too much. We wouldn't, I feel like we would need more information.
Here, this would be my advice, and this may be a little bit out of the box. Make the trade, and then choose which one you want, Fields or A. Rich, and then trade them for a different wide receiver that's better than Garrett Wilson right now.
Yes.
Brad says, would you trade Ayuk and Ramondre for Waddle?
I'll let you answer that one.
I think at this point I wouldn't. I kind of like Ayuk's outlook so far more than I like Jalen.
Yeah, I know you love Ayuk and I love Waddle, so I'm just sit out.
Yeah, we're split on this one, but Ramondre is kind of a non-factor for me right now. I'm not impressed with Ramondre.
Yeah. And if you asking me if I'm trading Ayuk straight up for Waddle, I'm keeping Waddle, but I'm a Waddle guy.
Yeah. Griffin says Brees or A-Chain pre-injury. Brees.
Yeah, Brees.
Carson says, should I trade Ridley and James Cook for Kyron in a 12-team full PPR? No, I don't think so either. Josh says Goff and McLaurin for Trevor Lawrence. No,
not right now.
Not right now. Nick says, I just traded Kenneth Walker for A.J. Brown and Drake London. What do you guys think?
That you fleeced them.
Yeah, I agree. Super CMB says, yo, what is J Jet's trade value right now? I got offered him for James Cook and Jordan Addison. I would keep JJ.
Trade. I will keep JJ, and if you are pressed to trade JJ, you still are asking for the same thing you were asked for as if he's fully healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, War, like, if you're a team that has Justin Jefferson and you are, let's say you're, 1-4 at this point, then you probably have to trade Justin Jefferson. Like if your back's against the wall, you're down at the bottom of the rankings, you probably got to make a move, and you're probably going to have to eat, a little bit of value on a Justin Jefferson trade. But if you're like 500 or higher in your league right now, I think you just hold JJ through the 4 weeks. You do what you got to do on the waiver wire. You make a trade to go get another vet and play some, flex wide receiver plays. I'm not trading JJ if I don't have to. If your back is against the wall and you need to start swinging, I guess you can trade JJ. But other than that, I'm not trading him right now.
Agreed.
Jin says, getting offered Tyreek for Puka and Achan. He has Herbert, Mixon, Achan, Aaron Jones, Madison, Javonte, JJ, Devontae, Puka, Pickens, Kittle. Seems like a good team for the most part. But he's getting offered Tyreek for Puka and Achan. Hell,
It's almost blasphemy to turn down getting Tyreek. So
I know.
you definitely have to. Yeah, I think I'm taking the Tyreek side, man. I don't know what's going on with the chain.
I think I am too because, oh man, dude, it's because you have Herbert, and then at the running back position, so you trade Achan away, right? And then you can still play Mixon, Aaron Jones, Madison, and Javonte. You can still play those matchups. And then you trade Puka and you get Tyreek, and you pair Tyreek with a JJ when he comes back, Devontae Adams, and George Pickens. Yeah, dude, I'm taking the Tyreek side. Jelly says, trade my Ramondre and JSN to the last place team for Aaron Jones on bye. Yes.
Hey, wait.
I would take Aaron Jones right now over Ramondre and JSN.
Is it redraft?
I think so. He says keeper value, so I'm thinking a redraft league, a keeper league.
Yeah, I think.
He also says other running back, Kyron, Rashad White. Okay, so that's some more context. He's pretty light at the running back position. I think White, Kyron, Monty, Javonte, Roshan. I don't know. Madi says, can I get some advice? My wide receivers are DJ Moore, Devontae Smith, Nico Collins. My running backs are Bijan and Tony, so I don't need any help at running back. My bench includes Addison, Flowers, Ford, Rashad White. Who should I target?
Who's your quarterback?
Yeah, I would say the question is fairly vague when you say who should I target. But when I look at this roster right now, you have DJ Moore, Devontae Smith, Nico Collins. You have Bijan and Tony. Your bench is Addison, Flowers, Ford, and White. To me, it looks like you could use almost
A stud wide receiver.
That's exactly what I'm getting at, War. And I think if you could take maybe a DJ Moore and a Nico Collins and put them together and go up and get a Tyreek, a Stephon Diggs, a something like that, I would do that because then you can play in that third wide receiver spot. You can play, Addison, Flowers, or if it's just a flex spot, you can play Addison, Flowers, or Rashad White, or Jerome
Or
Ford.
if it's anybody who's willing to give you a stud for Smith and Nico Collins and slide DJ Moore to that wide receiver 2 spot, I would do that too.
Yeah. Would you prefer Devontae over DJ Moore if you had to pick between the two?
No. Because DJ is the man. He's the man in his city. So
Fair.
Devontae is he's not the man in his city. So
yeah. And he says my QB is Fields and my tight end is Andrews, and he said that's exactly what he was hoping for. So yeah, you should go and get that top tier wide receiver. Couple more questions in here, and then we'll finish this up. War. Nick says, here's the team 10-man PPR Mahomes Pollard. Here's the team 10-man. Oh, is this in relation to like an old? Yes, this is in relation to this one. So he said I just traded Kenneth Walker for AJ Brown and Drake London, and then he said here's the team. Mahomes, Pollard, AJ Brown, Calvin Ridley, Garrett Wilson, and Evan Engram. Okay, so yeah, it's a good team, and we like the trade. So there's that. Griffin says rest of season Logan Thomas or Dalton Schultz.
Dalton Schultz. Logan Thomas can't stay healthy.
I like Logan Thomas. I
do too. I love Logan Thomas too, but historically he plays 2 games to get injured for 5. So I wouldn't feel comfortable like depending on him in the rest of season situation.
Fair. And Gavin says, here's my team. Herbert, Kyron, Aaron Jones, Puka, Kupp, Chase, Ayuk, Ingram, Flowers, Ford, Pitts, and Ridley. Should I trade Ridley for JT?
I don't think that's the question that you should be asking. I think you should be looking to trade either Puka or Kupp.
Yeah, if you can trade one of the two, and I would say probably trade Puka, and you
Yeah,
probably can get a better running back than JT.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would do too, War. George says, should I trade K9 for Travis Etienne? Yes, in my opinion.
Who the hell is K9?
Why did you wait that long to ask me that question? Kenneth Walker.
Oh, okay. I didn't know the guy earned the nickname yet. I trade K9 for NT. Yeah, you should.
All right. I was hoping to get a stud. This is the same guy. I was hoping to get a stud wide receiver, but the guy with the stud wide receiver is willing to trade, needs a running back. What wide receiver and a running back should I offer? He said he's willing to trade CD. So he's trying to get CD, and we need to pick a running back and a wide receiver to pair from this team. So I think if you were pairing from this team to go get CD, to me, I would put DJ Moore and Rashad and Jerome Ford. I would put DJ Moore and Jerome Ford as my first offer, honestly. But you would probably say Devontae and Jerome, right?
Yeah.
So the running back,
especially, and keep in mind that CD has kind of been,
he's been
so far this season. But
we don't expect that to
we all
continue.
expect that. Yeah, we expect him to turn that around. But so whoever, I think honestly, you got to take into consideration too. He has the Justin Fields, DJ Moore stack. So
Yep.
I'm probably definitely packaging Devonta Smith and Ford.
Yep. Fair enough. All right, guys, this is the last call on those questions. We'll answer what else is in the chat, but we're going to be ending this stream in about 5 minutes. So get these final questions in. I know we got a lot of people flooding them in, so I appreciate you guys being here. If you are here, if we've helped you out so far, go ahead and hit that like button for us, please. It is the best free way to show our channel some support. But War, a couple more in here. Who should I trade Puka for? This is Gavin. We said he had Puka and Kupp, and we said that we should trade Puka to go get a running back. What kind of running back should he look for Puka?
It definitely needs to be somebody that's a running back one.
Yes, it definitely does. I think I'm just pulling it up right now. I think some of the running backs that I would be looking at, Travis Etienne's one. If you could get Travis Etienne for
Puka, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I think that's a good one. If you can go get
if Devon A-Chain was healthy, then I think he already has A-Chain, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe you can go get Bijan for Puka. I don't know if you can. Probably not.
Probably not.
What would you think about this one, War? Would you go get Raheem Mostert for Puka?
No, because I look at Mostert the same way I look at Logan Thomas. So,
what about David Montgomery?
I would get David Montgomery. That's tricky.
Swift?
That's tricky.
It's tough, right?
Honestly,
because I feel like the guy is Etienne.
Etienne is the perfect trade candidate for Puka.
Said you guys earned a sub from me. Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. And Griffin did say, he said David Montgomery. And then he said I could try for Kamara. Do we think Kamara would be you could probably get Kamara plus a piece for Puka.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
And then Gavin says, I'm picking up Jeff Wilson off waivers this week too. So yeah, man. This is the last question we're going to answer here, Jelly. He says, what are your thoughts on Rashee Rice this Thursday for my wide receiver 3? No idea on Amon-Ra St. Brown's abdominal injury. My thoughts are I would not play Rashee Rice this week as my wide receiver 3. There's a chance he scores a touchdown, and there's a chance he has a good game, but I think I would rather wait, see what happens with Amon-Ra St. Brown. They did say that there's a chance he's going to be playing, so I'd wait and see if he's playing, and if not, rather than forcing a play on Thursday night, it gives you Friday and Saturday to figure something out, and then you can, find a waiver wire wide receiver, worst case scenario, on Sunday if you need it. Or any advice there?
Oh yeah, I'm not starting with Sheet White Rice.
No? All right.
No.
Griffin says, thanks, folks. It was fun. So that is going to be the end of our stream here tonight. Thank you, everybody who tapped in. You guys, we had an awesome stream. You guys had a bunch of comments in there. Glad we could get all of you guys in here. But yeah, man. Ward, do you have any final thoughts here before we get on out of here?
Now, I don't.
I ask you every week. I'm going to always ask you every week. I'm going to give you the option to do it. But here's my closing remarks, guys. If you guys enjoyed the stream, if you want more content like this, go hit that subscribe button. We're on a goal here. We're on the road to 1,000, man. We're trying to get to 1,000. So if you like the content, you felt like you were entertained today, you got some actionable advice you feel like you could take back to your leagues, hit the subscribe button for us and help us grow and hit those goals. If you do not want to subscribe for some reason, go ahead and give us a like. That's the next best thing you can do for us. It helps our channel grow that way. So just show us you like the content. We appreciate that as well. And then if you guys want to join a Discord, we have a free Discord. It is going to be linked in the description. We talk fantasy football in there all the time. So these questions that you guys are putting in the chat, you can put them in that Discord anytime, 24/7, 365, in season, off season, doesn't matter. I will answer them for you in that Discord anytime. So go join that as well. And then if you want to support us financially anyway at all, just go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use code LeagueFFB when you sign up. That will give you a 100% deposit match and a free pick'em. So that does actually help fund the show, help us make better content, help us just improve more than anything. So go use code LeagueFFB when you sign up at Underdog Fantasy. It is available in all of these states that are yellow. So if your state is in yellow, you guys can sign up over there on Underdog Fantasy. Again, use code LeagueFFB when you sign up. So that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for that little short promo that I was able to give you guys here at the end. And War, it is late, man. I'm on a flight early morning to Orlando. So this is my last live stream of the week, but more content still coming later this week. But you said you have nothing else. So how about we just peace out and we'll see you in the next one. All right, man.